Welcome to the Rainbow Trends weekly stream. This is Rainbow Runner with a special guest, Malifestro, here today. And just so we are very clear, this is not considered financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Even if this was to be mistaken for financial advice, it should be considered awful financial advice. Most of the stuff we look at is clearly securities and shouldn't be traded in the United States or any other place outside of the United States for that matter. So, anywho, if you're new here, curious why our charts look so crazy, it's rainbow-trends.com. I'm the guy behind it. Rainbow Theory and all that stuff and the stuff we've been trading for since like 2017. We offer some of the best indicators in the world. I know I'm biased, but this is the real stuff. And as you can see, our friends and family on the website, we're actually going to be interviewing this one today and just talking markets. So, Malifestro, if you want to say hi, make sure we do a mic check. Let us know.
Yeah, check. How's it sound?
Check, check.
All
Mally,
right.
sound okay?
Yeah. Am I loud?
Loud and clear. Cool. I think
Awesome.
I can adjust you a little bit too. But anyway, cool. Yeah. Now I got the intro out of the way. How are things, Mally? It's been a while, and if I guess I can introduce yourself from my end as well.
Yeah.
Um, Rainbow Trends really goes back to about 2017 or so, and I think Malifestro is one of the. She's got to be one of the first 10 that I guess hopped on when we started really taking it seriously and doing the Discord. And he always had like a really interesting hybrid look of how he looks at stuff. He does a lot of ICT as well as other stuff, and makes a big hybridization of Rainbow Theory. But picked it up and has pushed it quite a bit further in the past few years, and it's been really cool. And he's been one of our top cyan guys in the Discord for a long time, and people lurk all the time in the Discord looking to see what he's saying. So glad to have him finally on. Wish we had him on sooner. Um, but yeah, Mally, if you want to do your own introduction or whatever you want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Sure. So obviously, everything we're about to discuss is NFA, obviously. Uh, and if you catch me on Twitter, it'll also tell you the same thing. I deliver nothing but pain and suffering. In fact, you should probably counter trade me. So yeah, take everything that we discuss with a grain of salt, and get into the chart yourself, put in your layers, build your system, and if you learned something from me tonight or whatever, yeah, let me know. Tell me how you used it and or whatever. That'd be awesome.
Or if you're
Yeah, I've
angry,
been.
let us know.
Go ahead.
Or if you're
Yeah,
angry,
yeah,
let us
exactly.
know.
um yeah, so I've I think, yeah, I do think I was probably one of the first. I know. I know when I bumped into you and your stuff, I thought it was pretty awesome, and I started playing with it right away. And um we had our Discord, and it's just grown into a big fam, and it's my favorite place to hang out for sure.
That's the goal. It's there's always people look at stuff different ways, but it's building the community that's where it's like good vibes only, building each other up, not turning it into like a pissing match, and definitely staying away from a scam group. Just nothing but good dudes and like teaching each other because that's one of the things is like people like will often ask us, like, dude, do you mind if I show like these type of charts that aren't rainbow theory? And I was like, dude, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna learn stuff from you, and you're gonna learn stuff from me. If you've got alpha and you're a nice dude, just post whatever you want. And I think a lot of people have seen how like you make a very unique hybrid of rainbow theory and kind of proved like there's so many of these ICT traders that pick up rainbow theory and instantly see it. And I've been learning ICT from like you, and I still don't know half the acronyms, let alone how to do it. But it's real interesting to see how you guys are like, oh yeah, well that's this, and this is how Rainbow Theory like picks it up. So it's been really cool.
It is super fascinating to, yeah, layer in different sorts of techniques. um like you pick up different parts from different people, you craft them into your own little style or whatever. And honestly, I think like you spend a lot of time in the charts, you see patterns. You recognize things that are happening. Sometimes you can figure out when it's going to happen. um some ICT levels, some rainbow trend levels, whatever, they layer over the top of each other. Those are the money shots, right? Like those are the ones where you're like, yep,
Yeah.
that's the one, right? And then you're like high conviction and you can just go for it.
I know I have some users that literally turn off everything that's rainbow trends. They get their thesis and then they just click it on as a secondary verification. And
That's
they
basically how I do it. Oh, yeah.
yeah, so they'll sit
Yep.
there and get their thesis and go click click and then wait and see how it paints and like that's it. That's the I came up with it independently and the bots are figuring it out too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like I love the levels. Those are huge. We can take a look at a couple charts where they were like, yep,
Oh yeah,
Rainbow Trends had that level, like
so,
for sure.
so let me transition over to you real quick. So
Yeah, chart's gonna look a little different.
uh
Strange. That's not my chart.
it's not. Give me 1 second, guys. Are you double do your double click or however you flipped between the
Like
two? Can you edit?
I
We've got a technical
do you want me to
difficulty.
stop? Do you want me to stop my
No,
screen and
no,
reshare
no,
it?
no. Let me
Okay.
their discussion. Let me change this to try moving it now.
Oh, that looks better, I think.
That's it. I'm gonna save it. We're good. All right, technical difficulties. Thank you guys for hanging around for that. All right, so yeah,
Nice.
this is another thing I've picked up. So, and I'm speaking for him, but it's something I've observed from Mally over the years. Is he does this multi time frame 3 panel, multi panel stuff, which a lot of the other guys in Rainbow Discord have started to pick up as well, and I've even started to do it, albeit my monitor isn't big as his, but this is really cool stuff. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, dude, because I talk every week. Let's talk
Yeah.
whatever about you want to talk about. And I know a lot of people have tons of questions about you specifically because there's very unique things that
Yeah,
you look at.
and we are in Discord. We have our fam there. Anyone that's on there, go ahead and if you pick a channel, whatever it is, general crypto, you got a question, just send it. You can also do it here in Twitch. If there's a question that you have or a ticker that you want us to look at, and look into it, yeah, please do. Interaction is awesome. That's makes it a lot more enjoyable for sure. Um, yeah, so the grid kind of came out of um, the fact that I need I need a system that understands the like my system requires um, different time factors. Like I need multi-time factor to come in. I need be it a 5 minute, a 10 minute, a 30 minute, or a 1 hour, a 4 hour, whatever that is. The grid helps with that. And when you want to look at how Rainbow Trends paints, it helps to have those different grids that you can pop in and out, right? Because you can just have, say this grid here, you can click it, it'll pull that grid forward, and then you can work with inside that grid. You can chart there. You can tell TradingView, hey, I want these um, different things that you're going to put on there, be it like indicators or your drawings or whatever. You can have those be completely different across every grid. And then I also have a couple different time grids for different reasons. Um, and one that's pretty crazy that Carpe Noctem shared on his stream, and I thought was epic, and I didn't know why I didn't build it beforehand. This is the Mag 7 plus the E minis, and
That's awesome.
this way you can see if there's any divergences in them, or you
That's
can pick one and work within that. Yeah, so I just think that's awesome.
Yeah, so
because I used to bounce all the time between each one of them, and this is just so much better.
Servo 7 was asking how you do it. It's this button up here on the top, this little grid thing. You can pick the different styles of your panel and you can like save the layout. That's how he does it.
Yep.
That's actually really cool. That'd be crazy if you started seeing like the runner bot going like top 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 on all seven.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be nuts, right? Yeah, it'd be like, all right, we're done
Yeah,
here. Yeah, and the cool part is like you can sync them up with different, with all the same time, which is what I've done. So they're all like if you set 1 hour, it'll do all of them 1 hour, and then if you slide them, they'll all slide at the same time.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you are on the top tier Trading View level subscription.
Yeah. Um.
Ethereum,
Yeah.
Vitalik,
Uh, I wanted
2110.
it. I wanted to. I wanted to talk about something. Talked about. Let's see. I don't know which one I want to show. Let me check.
I've been watching the
Yeah.
Coinbase one
Let's
as well.
let's look at this. Pay, don't pay too much attention to some of these noise things, but I just wanted to show you guys an important thing that you may or may not pick up. And this this helps it helps me see it now that I've gone through some of the ICT videos. I've used it in my setups and stuff. Um, but if you follow me on Discord, you'll see me talk about looking for a market structure shift and a market structure break. I use those terms um, in kind of my own fashion, meaning that I'm looking for a shift or a change of character, which is something that's more like um, inside the structure of a bigger structure, and a break consists of like the actual full structure shifted. And so one of those things that you need to pay attention to is like if you look here at Bitcoin, right? We were creating a structure that went up, right? Also, on my chart is um, an EMA cloud system. I have my own, but I also use Ripster's EMAs all the time, and you can see how well this tracks, right? And so when we rolled over here, that's like your get the fuck out sign, right? Like you're gonna find a different thing. But I want to try your attention to like here is a structure. We had an up, we had a sideways, we had an up, we had a sideways, right? Up. This is very 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 short sideways. But like you can tell when it went in through distribution, it went flat and it broke down. So this important. So this break here was a flush, right? It killed the market. We all those of us that were around saw that. This was this is actually, believe it or not, when I decided to get into crypto was right there when it did
Mm-hmm.
that. I was like, oh, that's really fucking interesting because like you would think maybe buyers would step in, like where the hell are they, right? But they didn't, and it flushed. And I learned something when it came back. So I was just in observation mode here, not the other observation mode runner. um, and so when this broke down, we had a change of character here, right? Right, like roughly in here, right? You could say we were down and now we're not down. So I would consider that a change of character. And this was with force, right? It's kind of important. And then we got back to level, but it just kept going. So your trade could have been to hold this EMA cloud. And then we went flat. So if you're taking profit, you're managing your risk here. You get a short-term setup where you had another change of character and maybe you cut if you're long only, maybe you shorted, whatever. But this is super high time frame, right? Like this is a week.
Oh, this was
This is
brutal. This was even that bottom little trough at like 3 grand. I remember just
mhm.
sitting there and there was just no volume on anything. Like no one was
So
buying anything.
before I understood ICT, I knew to buy this. This is what's nuts. So when I look back into hindsight, I can see how it painted. And so when it came back up, for me, it was like, okay, it's just retesting my trending EMA cloud. I didn't need a whole lot. Like, I'm just going to start buying it. The market had shifted up. That's how I thought, right? Like, we shifted up and we did not take the low. So, but what I want you to see here, so that this fib pull is what I call an OTE fib pull, and it it's an optimal trade entry. And so we had a displacement here on the down. We had the market moved up and broke. So we had our market structure, a market break. And then when the market came back to it, it came into this OTE area. This is where you're looking to place your bids. It also happened to be right across from when the structure broke, right? The change of character. Those are the money ones. These are when you can find these on different time frames, 12 hour, 1 hour, so on.
Hmm.
And yeah, down to the 5 minute even. And so that's when you got long. And you can see like where did the fib pole go, right? Perfectly right where it went. And you know that the fib pole was right when it does things like that. When it's like, yeah, that's pretty damn good. It's good enough. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be to the tick or whatever. But you know that, once you're up here in these anything over 3, you're like definitely taking profit and exiting. So yeah, it's and that's on different time frames too. That's how I do those. But I just wanted to show that to you because we had that happen again, right? Forget all this noise. Well, actually, there was. I'll show the one here too as well, that got everyone. But this one is bigger too. Um, I wish I didn't have all these on here, but yeah, it was in here too as well when we broke down change. So I find that pretty damn interesting. There was another one too that a lot of people didn't catch.
Server is asking,
And
how do you draw that fib pole?
so from the low, here, let's go back to the other one. Show it to you. I needed a week. So there's the low, and you can pull it from here and look for an entry too. Some of them. So this particular entry, the OTE isn't necessarily a perfect entry, but because some of them will not come back there. You found a different. I'll just say you found a different entry point, and usually those ones will only come back to the half mark. So when you think you have found it, you can throw your fib on it, and if things are in alignment, right? Like you're like, oh hey, that's that's really interesting. So you could take an entry down here and a stop down here, right? That's the idea. Um, if you want, I don't know if you can see the fibs. Um, Here, let me pull it to a clean spot.
Is there a reason you don't have a 2618 or a 3168?
Um, there isn't, and they can absolutely be there. Yep. I actually have a whole set of different fibs that are for different setups. Um, and yeah, so this area here between 3.8 and 2.1, that would be the OTE. And then um, there are bad setups, less forceful, let's call it. Like there's less force in the squeeze that provided the momentum to the upside. And they may only go to like zero point 0.9 or 1. They may only go to 1.2, 1.6. That's it. Those like a lot of people will actually only trade those, right? Like they'll get in here, and they'll TP here, and then they'll TP here, and if it goes, they'll exit here. And they're done like that. That's fine. I'm good with that, right? Like I don't need any more than that. I don't need to push it and have it roll over and take my profit. Because if it's like super low time frame, you're in and out of it in like 20 minutes. Maybe that's the approach you take.
Yeah, that's cool.
Um, yeah. So the other thing, I don't know if it's going to show up on the daily. We need that right there, July 2021. I don't think. I wish this was a thing that it did, right? Like if I was centered on that, just pop to that part of the screen. But it totally doesn't do that. So yeah, these are setups to play too as well.
I loved and
When
hated
you have
this range. It wrecked everybody, but Rainbow, the colors painted and said, "This is it. This is it. Can't go any further."
yes. So this is a time where the tool was like incredibly helpful. Um, from just a PA standpoint, what I saw was we had clearly made a low, right? And after a low is made, I look for a range. There's some sort of range that's going to be figured out before it makes a cause to either continue going down or to reverse and go up. And so I was actually expecting it to reverse, even though everyone was like, it's dead, it's just going to go down. For whatever reason, my bias was still long, and so I saw these colors waning, and my EMA cloud caught it. Okay, and so when I saw this, I was like, okay, we made a series of lows. It swept the low, and it returned back to it. So, like, I longed the shit out of it right here. Like, I was pretty confident in this, to be honest, but for whatever reason, I was reluctant to go all in, and I think it was because my cloud hadn't turned over. Um, and so yeah, pay attention to that. Another thing that you'll see frequently if you use clouds is you want what's called like stacked clouds. And so when you can get your clouds all running in the same spot, that's when you want to be in. And so that would be the case here, right? So this one, it may not be perfectly on the 4 hour, but for me, for my eyes, I see this as a stacked cloud. This is just reverting back into this cloud that's already still running green. And so this one switched. I expect there to be a pullback to here. These pullbacks to this cloud on usually a 4 hour, 1 hours are typically a mean reversion to the daily, but if you get a 4 hour, you may have found a good spot to long for quite a long time. And so that's what happened here, right? So then we got our long above our pivot, and for me, that was it. So I exited here, and I re-entered right back in here.
You go back to the accumulation range. My question is, you said you look for a
In
low.
here,
Yeah. Do you
yeah,
look for how do you look for a low? Because to me, it's like with Rainbow Theory stuff. Is I look for a death wick, which was that far left candle that shut
yep,
down Binance, Coinbase, FTX, shut them all down.
and yep, that's fair. And um, I was also really, I was seriously considering buying this. if I remember right though, it ripped. Like it went through here and it went straight back up, like super quick.
No,
Um,
the we started having like some of the exchanges went to 15 grand, and then they just
yeah,
turned the servers off. Like it's
yeah,
the paints were all like the lows. It depended on which ticker you were on, how deep it went.
100%. Yep. And I remember that too, right? And that was kind of why I was like, are we going to normalize these bottoms across the exchange, right? Like find each one of them are going to find their low or a common low. Like what? That's where it's like confusing, right? Um, but I just stuck to Coinbase, and for me, I just like this was so chaotic, honestly, and there was, like you said, there was so many undefined lows across every single exchange. And so I look this as this, especially this one in here, like as this one didn't really count. And then we started creating lows here. This is what I was looking at, and the way I look at it, so this was a low. This just barely ran the low, and that is demand.
That candles
Right?
there, that wick scared
That
me
wick.
so bad.
So this wick is whales. Okay, and I'm gonna show you another thing.
That's cool.
So what
Wow.
what you're looking at here is this is a premium discount array. This wick was the whales showing themselves. These wouldn't have been purchased without limit orders, and they knew where they were getting their price. And so when it came down into this area, this was when I thought, okay, we've finally made our bottom. And then we just tried it down, and they're just pushing retail out, right? This is just the whales just crushing them. Um, and then where did they fill? Perfectly right into the premium side of that PD array. That was when I was like, this is it. This is the one, right? This is the one to go long on. Um, but I hadn't, while I understood ICT stuff, I didn't know it as well as I do now.
Yeah.
And so I was more confident in the system that I was using at the time, which was primarily um, Rainbow Trends, EMA clouds. I trend follow through some other indicators here on my screen too as well. And that was when, like that was how I got long. But yeah, this is that hybrid aspect that Runner talks about. I use indicators to help. I use PA and some indicators to learn how to get into a trade. And then I use momentum to carry trades to understand when they're weakening, when I should take profits, when I should get back in. Um, there's some interesting dynamics that I want to show too, right? So um, one thing that I've picked up on recently, so I used to time some of these bottoms here with, this is, if you're familiar with indicator called ADXDI, this is a, this is ADXDI, but in this form. And I read it like I see the squiggle lines, but this is all I need. Um, and so we've lost. This is basically saying momentum is waning, right? And you can kind of tell if you're like seeing it's not pushing as hard. Colors are rotating in the rainbow trends, and this is waning, right? And then so this is PPO. PPO had dipped and it had crossed. The signal line crossed here, and we started making a bottom. And so when this one came and it fired, so I'm gonna show a couple things like you guys on stream get some serious alpha if you wanna learn this. But so we faded, we had our bounce, we took the lows, and PPO had caught that the momentum had changed. And this is called TTM squeeze. And this is basically showing you that a squeeze is happening. And when it went red, it fired and told you that it is likely to occur. and right there it did, and that was when you would have bought. And look at that, it just carried on. It's like a perfect entry.
You don't care about your tabs. You can do F11 and get a little more room in full screen it.
Even in this thing. Well, yeah, that's not going to
Nope.
work.
Worth a shot.
Yeah, it's all good.
That's
Um,
awesome. I remember the when you like I remember that bottom because I kept so it's the same thing. Like you go back to that whale demand that you showed, like that wick that was on the
mhm,
bottom of like 32 or no, this yeah back to the left. That was cool that you showed that because I wasn't aware of that at the time. Where you showed like the wick
Oh,
that pushed
you're
down.
talking about
Yeah,
what this means?
yeah, that was something I haven't had explained, but I thought that was cool because I was sitting here watching the colors rotate, and I kept
Hmm.
seeing when I see a death wick at the beginning, I know a range is happening. I was like, we're going. You paint a death wick with Rainbow Theory, the next month or two, you're going to be going through either redistribution or accumulation. Normally accumulation, and I kept watching the
Hmm.
drives, and the drives into demand kept getting weaker colors. And then finally, that last one on the right painted a very, very weak color. And then it stalled out. And that's when I was like, that's it. I called my buddies and said, that's it. And I was like,
Right.
that's all there is.
I
And
remember.
they're like, it's low or
You
low. And I was like, I don't care. It's weaker colors. They're tapped
exactly.
out.
I remember. Like you and I were pretty much the only one that said, "Hey, this is the bottom,
Yeah.
and it's going back up."
I made the phone call and it was literally 2 hours later. I think it was the biggest 1 hour candle on Bitcoin's history. And I was like, I told you. And they're like, no, it's a lower low. And I was like, dude, look at the colors. There's no yellow on that one. And I was like, that's all they tipped out. Because my thing is like the whole idea of like Rainbow Theory is they can only push so hard for so long, and then they're done. They tap out, and they have to hand it over to the Bulls. And that's what we saw there. Now I thought, and this one too had the creek in it, which I that was the last time I ever missed a creek was that one in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing. If I get into accumulation, I see the death wick. I look for the creek, or the hill to start the creek, and then it's like, all right, now we're in the back 25% of the accumulation range. Let's look for that last dip,
Right.
and that's where it is. That's cool. The other stuff you showed up because I never understood those, the PPOs and the other ones. Now that you do it on video, it's awesome, and I'll make sure to archive this one as a thing.
Yeah, and you
YouTube.
can see like look, look, I shared where and why I was getting out of position, right? And so that's what these are, right? These tops and bottoms for me, they're not like scientific, oh, hit this, buy, hit the sell for me anyway. And they're more like any indicator actually. It's just like, hey, pay attention here. This
Wake
is why.
up, tap your shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I love that it did that, right? Like it was like pay attention right here and then we got this like, oh, below the cloud, back above the cloud. And that part was hard for me because it was like it dropped, but it didn't take out anything. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it time to to breathe. And then it went up, and then it faded and did that. And I
And
was like, yeah,
we
okay,
and
it's done.
remember we were all PTSD'd bad at that
Yep.
point from going 69K to 25, whatever it was, and then this thing starts pumping again. Because I remember seeing the weakness pull back and the colors rotate, and I go, shoot, are we going to go back down to 30K again?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But um, and we
Bottoms.
certainly could, right? Like we never really
Oh, crypto
outside
was
of
over.
this,
That's what everyone was saying.
right? Like outside of this, we didn't really ever make another structure until it broke out, and then when it did, it ranged.
You make a good point there too. There's no pivots. There's nothing. There's nothing there at 38.4. It's kind of weird. And it didn't bounce off any of the EMAs either. It just kind of took off again. That one checked the pivot for sure, but yeah, that
Yeah. Yeah, if you get those, low, sweep a low, take the low back, that's your go signal, right? Try to grab a,
what do you
try to
mean
grab something.
low
Oops.
sweep? Oh, that second hit,
Yeah.
just a can. Oh, wick.
Yeah, that's your wake up call to consider trying to grab something if you get a pullback.
What's up,
And it
War
just
Cordy?
never did. Yeah. This one never did. This one was just you get in,
That
I
second one
guess
I thought
this
was beautiful. Big ol' arc, and then yeah, it was crazy as it kept making arcs of weaker colors and just kept printing tops. And I was like, I don't know where
this
this is gonna go.
whole this whole session was like was I remember this as like the most patience I had to have with the market. It was so frustrating because yeah, everyone was PTSD.
You
So
start
like
questioning yourself, like this is a long signal, but I'm scared.
your stops are hella tight,
Yes,
right? Like, and because you're like,
I
when is
get.
it going to go another 30% down in a day?
Yeah,
Yeah. It felt a lot easier as it started getting back to the all-time high. And I was like, yeah, guess we're done. Yeah, like I don't know who didn't realize it, but like once it did this, like you were out. You're out. There was so many people fighting it. I remember. They're like, "Oh, it's going to go to like 80."
100,
But like
6 digits.
this this right here on a 4 hour, it's done. The fact so this structure, right? Like if you look at the EMA, right, it made that structure and price was like jabbing into it.
That's cool.
Like that's all you need, right? Like you know that it's done.
What got me here was is I remember Trader Main did a really cool video and he was talking about like how much overhead resistance there was from going from 30K all the way to 60. And the
Right.
hardest part I had with that is they chugged the whole way back up to the 60s. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
rockets on. There's no way we're going to get right to the same level and turn around. And then sure enough, it faded like you said.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yes. Now we're in the mess. A new mess. Oops.
Yeah. Thanks, BlackRock.
Dude.
Yeah, this was the Barts, and I've
FTX is
been
like
I've been preaching to the Bart army, and then now we finally, what is it, a year later, we had a Bart hairline break north. A shout out to Doppel.
oh, so and that was why I was made the comment um that what's the percentage going back where the BART trended up but came down.
Oh,
Um,
trended.
and I
Oh,
and I certainly don't know, but I do know that there is a difference, at least in my mind, because like take a look at this one for example, where it came up and it trended down and it met the EMA as
now
opposed
I
to
know
the
what you're
EMA
talking.
met
I
it.
misread you. No, that's a very good point. Um,
So because the way I look at because I do like on all my charts if everyone pretty much all of my charts, unless I'm doing an ICT chart only. But most all of them will have the cloud on it. And so what that's telling you is that you know this huge move up can either like mean revert or time can catch up to it. And so this is time right here, this blue line. And so that's how I was like, I'm not leaving the trade. My system says I can't leave.
so this one I watched, and I get flack sometimes because people are like, which way is it going to go? And I was like, I can't tell you. I just like I could like there's there's probabilities and then there's rules, and the rules are this thing can't do a hairline to the end of the year, and
But like
it's not going
that's
to
the
just
worst
fade.
part, right?
It's going to break hard. Now it may go hairline because remember we had one that went 2 months before this sideways, and it went 2 months flat and then barred it down. But I said, "Hey, we're just going to watch this BART until it's invalidated. But if it breaks north, we get in, we go long. If it breaks south, don't don't ride it down because you're going to take and like the levels below are pretty damn deep. Like we're talking about going back into the 20s again, and
Y- Yeah.
and that's actually a good point. I need to look at it because that's the problem is no one trades BARTs. Like Dylan or not Dylan, Discount Gosling and then the Rainbow Crew are the only two that I know that can actually trade these damn things. And so I don't have the stats on them, but that's a good point because that one grinds down, breaks down,
Hmm.
and then it kind of turns into like three mini BARTs there. I need to look at that. Maybe we do some backtracking because I this isn't a pattern I see a lot outside of crypto though. Uh,
It's yeah. I tend to agree. There's uh, there's a lot of them. There's definitely a lot of them, and I don't
it kills people,
other
man.
than other than trying to get rid of the like people that are leveraged. Like I think that's about the only reason. They're trying to accumulate and they're trying to wipe out leverage on both sides.
That's exactly what. Because I remember reading back on these in 2018, and I started getting the sense in the initial like beginnings of Rainbow Theory, like, hey, this is a whale game. First off, um, I have enough detection to know that I'm in this type of game while it's printing, but how do I predict the backside? How do I predict the break part? And I just Googled. There was no traditional stuff written about it. All it said was, hey, this is designed to liquidate the bulls and the bears in the same setup. And it's like they're like they credited Arthur Hayes for it, and I was like, okay,
What?
it's whale games. That's fair. Let me figure out how to do it, and that's where I really started picking up like RSI rotations because if you get the scream of colors and then you see the RSIs rotate out and then you get like a runner bot top, you're like, hey, look for a hairline to print. And if everything gets boring and starts printing hairlines, lock it in. You're in a BART trade, and it's boring as hell. But a lot of the rainbow guys don't get destroyed by them when they break south. Because I get real vocal. It's like, hey, this thing could break north, but man, if this thing breaks south, be careful. And that's exactly what that one did. After two, that's the one that was 2 months,
Hmm.
and it had a kind of slight fake out because it broke down a little bit and then it ripped back down to 26.
So I can show you another entry on Bitcoin. So same sort of setup, right? We've put in some sort of base
It was weird
and
though. It was
it
Bart's up,
swept it.
Bart's down. Yeah, and they were sweeping Bart's.
Yeah. Well, right, but so if this was a short setup, it's sweep, setup, sweep, and deliver, right? I don't know if that followed, but like it would have done this, right?
Yeah, it was
And
weird.
then that would have been your entry. But it didn't do that, so yeah, okay, nice. You took people's money, great. Like it's flat. Like you don't have a position because like we're just we're burning momentum. There's no bullish momentum. Momentum's falling, price is flat, right? So like you really should just be like in cash at this point, because there's just no action. Um, but when it did this, so let's zoom in a little bit. So we had an order block created right here, right? We took out the highs. So this is important. Okay, so for ICT folks, you would know that that's important. But pay attention to what happened here. So we wiped all these lows out, right? Super important. Everyone that was buying these or thought it was support. The whales got to accumulate here if you didn't buy, right? So we moved on, and lo and behold, what do we get right here, right? If I pull this over, like we're right in that sweet spot area. We're right in that order block, and we've now turned this market structure into from bearish to bullish by doing this, right? Because this became a break. Well, it was a bearish order block, but because we flipped it, it became a a breaker. And so now we know that we can go long inside this area, and so that kept delivering, right? So that gave us our, see, there's our 127 that I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And look what happens. So the you're in here, right? This is your good trade for sure. But if you're just a trend follower, when this is red, it's not like the best, right? This shit can happen where it can bounce back and forth. But my experience says is once this bottom one turns green and we're stacking EMAs, these pullbacks, be it to here, you know, any of these, you're a buyer. Because sometimes, like, it really depends on the angle in my experience. So like the shallower that one, you might get a pullback that went like that. And before it went, so, but this one didn't give it. So it broke out and then we got stacked EMAs. You just ride the cloud. Here we are. Piece of cake. It's like one trade. And so
It's so hard because I'm having a hard time even to respond to this because I want to say like keep it simple, but at the same time this is a lot to take in. But it is simple at its core. It's
this
be
this is
patient.
this is this is how you can ride a trend. Once you find um, you need to have the trend change. And then, do you know how, like, if you've seen me in Discord, like I've posted a couple times, like I posted, we can take a look at it. Jets, I have my eye on, but like, I like to find bottoms, and this is why, right? Because I want to find when this momentum switches, and then I want to be riding that one for however long that's going to be.
That's kind of how I see it, but in stages, and that's the part that I want. I've been messaging you a lot in the DMs, like trying to learn that part because my eyes naturally are straight rainbow theory. I try to catch the weakening turn where the either the bulls or the bears tap out, and then it seems that that next stage where they tap out, and then there's actually some rumblings and showings of strength. That's where you get triggered, and you're like sniping entry and rock and roll. That's what I've noticed is because you'll start trend riding after I've already like tried to get an entry.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of
How
times that initial trend ride will pull my TP out, and I'm like, all right, that's it.
it's okay, so potential ways to get into a trend, right? So find levels. So if we looked at, like, I don't know, 1 hour. Actually, I like 4 hour. Let's go 4 hour.
Dave.
And then just pull that out of there. Or yeah, I think this will be okay. Even with just like your EMAs on, kind of like anything. Okay, you know how, like, so Runner was working on a Ford trade, and I pulled him into I may have pulled him into a Boeing trade. uh, but the thing is, right? Like, when you're buying unstacked EMAs, you have to expect to buy some time frame of mean reversion, be it like a 1 or whatever. Usually, depending on where it turns, I'll target maybe like just a 1 hour. Like, it'll mean revert to the 1 hour. This one mean reverted, came to the 4 hour, right? Um, this one, um, same thing. So um, to get into a trend though, like, ideally you want to see them stacked, and then, like, if you're just buying the 4 hour, we had this massive. This is really hard. So that's like orders. That's actually going to turn into a range eventually. Like, this will be another range. Again, premium discount.
So what do you see that
Um,
does that wick say anything to you?
yeah, because it's a PD array,
It's a
more
what?
than likely. Premium discount array. And so if they were going to run this down again, that's what I would have looked for. So they would have accumulated here, eventually made it up here, and then it would have broke down. But it just kept pushing.
Do you
But I mean,
time
like if you
do you time
go
those
ahead.
with like expectations of like liquidations? Because to me, that was they shell shocked through the liquidations, and those positions got dumped into the market, and that's what caused that wick.
Yeah, I think that's right. They took the positions away, um, so that you couldn't. There's less of them to be purchased now, like, and then they drove price up, and I think that's why it didn't spend much time here. It didn't go back down because they took them all. They had them already. Um, so like when you're trying to find a trend, so like if you were just a nice strong trend is what this is, where take a look at, so this bright green one, that's like a good spot, and then anything lower here is also good, right? So these wicks inside that green cloud, this over here, this is like it's strong and it's pushing out. These aren't ideal entries, any of this, but the ones that are giving you entries inside the cloud, those are the ones that you, these are the ones where it's like this, you know, this whole area just accumulated. They didn't even get any low, anything low, right?
So the amount of RSI prints on this particular part of the run threw me off as well because I was like, man, FTX just died, Alameda's gone, and it's just
Mm.
straight up X's on every damn candle. And this is also, I think, when like Pepe was going insane too.
Well, so I mean, like, so this is where some of these will help understand, like, because RSI, a lot of people don't look at RSI right. Whoops, what did I do? What have I done?
Oculus Rift version.
There we go. Because like the RSI is just like it's strength, the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like above and below, say 40, that kind of thing. But like PPO, ADX, and squeeze give you a vision into like actual momentum and strength. And so even though these are printing, I'm more concerned when they stop printing and then fall through the cloud.
Yeah.
Um, like that would be like momentum's definitely dead. You would be seeing this thing falling off, maybe even just switching red, like it was a nuke red candle kind of thing. And this ADX, the whole mountain basically goes red. Um, so yeah, like these will help you because like you're seeing this stay above the zero line. You know, it's got good strength. This is going. Um, here's another like this. Oh, I just remembered I was gonna talk about this. So this
That's
entry,
that
you
what you
see this
talk.
right here? You see this right here? That's a TTM squeeze indicator telling you that this is a good spot to go long. And why? Well, because all of your clouds are stacked and price pulled back. And so it said, okay, it's squeezing. And now here's your fire candle where it was just like it's gonna explode.
Does the TTM look at Ripster clouds? Is it tied to it directly?
It isn't. It's basically Bollinger Bands and Keltner channels and how they you know how they both expand and contract? Well, when the Keltner channel's inside the Bollinger Band, it's very contracted. And that's what I mean. That and some other stuff that's going on is printing you a histogram and these signals. And so the system though is you use it with stacked EMAs, and that helps you get on the right side of the trade. Because like if you are buying into weakness or whatever, you may not be um, like this same setup may form, say like on a downtrending stock like Boeing was downtrending. But it wouldn't be like a home run kind of hit like this would be. So you're gonna look for like stacked EMA. You're gonna look like for the price to pull back. Um, the TTM to squeeze, and then um, for really depends on like how you want to play the trade. You can wait to understand that yeah, the green has fired, and that is the momentum firing out, or you can be in slightly early, um, say on the black or in here. I get in here. So like when my PPO fires green and RSI is green and I'm squeezed and this is momentum is already moving up and I'm in the cloud, I'm long.
That's awesome. It actually makes sense because I've literally watched you print this up for like 2 years now, and you keep talking about it, and then you'll start talking to me in acronyms, and it's like, Mally, I understand about 60% of what you're saying. You're saying squeeze, and I can tell that you're excited, and Doppel's normally excited too. And I'm like, that's just a long.
Yeah, and most people don't know, but I pretty much only trade long. So um it's just the way I prefer to trade.
It's easier. Like, you,
Because like for me it's like there's like a bazillion tickers out there. So if one is like, either going flat or, now it's going to go down or whatever, okay, fine. I'm going to find something else long. It's like not hard.
that's what's
The
nice
other
too
thing,
is you will, when crypto's boring, you just walk away from crypto, and you're like,
yeah,
I'm gonna go mess with orange juice or natural gas or
yeah, exactly.
Boeing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, the other thing that I've been pulling in, I know Doppel's used it for quite a while, um, and I've used it on and off, but I'm giving it a hell of a lot more weight now. Is TD sequential, whether or not we're like getting uh, nines basically. So if you look at the structure here on the weekly, you can, if you look at these, there's candle colors that are changed, and you'll see a nine. And sometimes they'll continue because a nine is actually just like we counted up through this, and we'll go into basically some sort of setup kind of phase of some sort. Sometimes it'll continue and deliver through, say, 13 or whatever. Um, and then I think if I read or something that if you get a 9, 13, 9, that's usually the end, and that's exhaustion. And I find that really interesting now, knowing that, and looking back at the Bitcoin chart
When
because
you
it
say
did that.
9,
It did a
13,
9.
9, are you talking about red, three reds in a row that way, or
Doesn't matter the trend direction, just that it went 9, 13, 9.
it could go 9
Um,
red, 13 green, 9 red?
9 red, 13 would be, yeah, like it would count to 9, count to 13, count to 9. And then that just so happened to be our Bitcoin bottom. I thought that was fascinating.
I don't. Can
Um,
you show? I don't. I'm not seeing it. I'm not terribly familiar with this one.
and it's all good. Like there's a 9, right? And then so this was a 9, but it kept counting. So we made 13 here. Um,
Okay.
so then that was the 13 count, and then there was a 9 count right in here.
Side note: shoot me the link to this one after hours, and I'll rewrite it for you to do 13.
Okay.
This is where I started getting into this, and then I actually used a lot of the. I actually found some really good stuff with this logic, and I actually, because I started back testing TD sequentials because I just, anything that I'm sniffing with, I turn it into a bot and start painting with it. And I pushed it all the way out to TD 25 just to see, like, can you snipe the reversal of a whale? Like,
Mm,
because if a whale's hot and heavy, it doesn't care if it's 13, 14, 15, and especially like if you're on lower time frames, what does this thing do? Because eventually there's got to be a breaker point. And I actually really increased some of the bots that I do that are like automated. I use that logic to push it.
hmm.
Is this 913? This is real. I think that's more of a human eye thing, but it's cool.
It, it, there is, I mean, the logic is, I think, that the 9 it gets counted, and you keep counting as it's down, but then when the candle crosses and closes back above it, it it stops the 9 count and starts counting
So
the other
the
way.
the slickest is asking what are the numbers correlated to?
How many candles down, basically? Like the price is in trend
Yeah,
that
I think
direction.
it's is it an EMA or a moving average that it counted on? I forgot the coding in it. It's got to have it's like an EMA cross for so many candles, and then it starts counting it.
Mm.
It's not just a green bar red bar thing, because you could see that there's floats sometimes between the counts where um, it won't count some of them.
Oh, it's because it closed.
This one may not do
I'm
that,
not.
but some
I
of
was
the
gonna say I
TDs
don't.
do that I've played with. They wait for a trend. Like if the trend is just chopping sideways, it won't really start counting them because it's got to wait for an EMA cross.
Hmm.
Or if you just open, if you want to teach people PineScript, open the source.
Oops.
Go back up. So the value when go keep going all the way to the top. Sorry, the other
The
way.
top.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So close is greater than close for. Yeah. Okay. So that's what it is. So the the current candle has to be higher than the close 4 candles previous. That's what it is. It's not an EMA trend.
Yeah, and
That
that's what I was trying to explain. Was this? It's the best way to explain it is like the count is counting down or up or whatever, right? And it's representing a couple candles behind, and I think it's done that way because like you need 3 candles to create an SFP basically. So
that's
I
cool.
think that's I think that's why it's done that way personally. Um, but yeah, this um, the people that were watching, I Pico bought the bottom of Meta, and can show how that was done.
That's awesome. I remember
So
catching the channel break, but I didn't see the bottom.
yeah, so I was watching this countdown, like it was in a clear downtrend, and I noticed like when it ripped, I was like, okay, good chance it's done, but not always. I'm gonna look for reasons to get long, right? That's what I want to do. And um, oh, and also because of this bullshit. Like, uh, let me do.
I wanted so much more.
Really? I was like, it's down
76?
76%. I'm like, I gotta start adding to a bag.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. My bad. You're before the channel break. I mean the channel
uh,
walk. Sorry.
oh yeah. Um,
That's awesome.
so so yeah, it had ripped down. We created a 9 on the weekly. And when so I was watching this down. Let's see. Let's get this time would have been October 31st. Why is it always October 31st? So weird.
That's so cool.
Funny
And then
weird
you
shit
you,
is.
you literally caught the Pico bottom, and then before the channel walker even started. That's sick. Because once you're locked into channel walker, I think that's the easiest trade in the world. It's like literally just you just check on it. Is it broke? Nope. Okay. Keep riding it.
So here is my line. This is the line I got bullish on, right? And so we printed the 9 and we took down, and then we broke support, right? That was all I needed. And so I longed here with a stop down here, and then I longed here again
What was
with a
your
stop down here.
explain the break? Are you talking about where it broke into the EMA cloud, or
Yeah, so the EMA cloud went green on the 1 hour, and like I didn't know how long I was going to end up holding this trade, but I knew that like I was going to play a mean reversion. That was how I got into the trade. So I was like, I'm playing a mean reversion and I'm playing this. That's all I wanted at first. Um, And um, so yeah, so this is it just walking down naturally, and then it kind of just jumped. And so this is when I got long, and I put a stop down here. Um, I can't remember if I was. I know, I think I stopped way down here. Honestly, I put it way away. Um, and then I added, um, and just let it go. And then when it rolled over, this is when I TP'd. And then when it crossed through here, I closed the trade, and then it just chopped for a long time. I didn't really do anything until it got back over 122. And then that's when the cloud went in sync. Everything is in line. You just let it go.
Yeah, then that was the channel walk from hell.
And then it died. Yeah.
It's a clean break though, but that one I expected the pull down to come more, but I'm used to crypto channel walks, which are like 60% pullbacks. It's actually done way better than I thought it would. But he also dropped the glasses, which people are going crazy for.
A lot of noise up in here. Not sure what's going to happen with Meta. Market's at a really odd place at the moment. Yeah, another one I've been working on is Jets.
What is Jets exactly?
It's an ETF of like the major like carriers, like airline carriers. And so
Not the plane
I would
manufacturers, just commercial airlining.
I don't know exactly what's in it, to be honest.
Even better.
I know that it includes all. I know this is the funny part about how I like foresee trading. It's like I just look at lines and numbers, and do they go up?
That's how I tell people about Zcash. Like, you talk trash about it all at once, it paints beautifully.
Exactly. Like if it moves in a predictable fashion that you understand, that's all that matters.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you have an edge.
they'll argue with me. I'm like, I just like how it wiggles. You can't really
Yeah, that's
argue with that.
if you can extract money, that's all that matters, right? Like that's when it comes down to it. That's all that matters. Can you go to the bank of TradFi or CryptoFi and withdraw money that when you want? That's what matters.
Mally
So
quote.
yeah, so like yeah, so this was in a clear downtrend, and if you actually look at it, it's ugly as fuck. Like this is from like July again. It's just straight down. Um, and so yeah, I've been working for trying to find a bottom here. So I took a long down in here, which I posted on Discord and Twitter, I believe, that I added it down here, and um,
What made you
and so
buy
it's
it?
it here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with the price was flat and my stop was super close by. Um, this was just like an entry, like
Just
a
taking a
small buy.
swing at it.
Yeah, it keeps me engaged more than if I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna look at it every day or something like that. And then we got a break, and so this is when a position happened. And then now I'm just looking for like we had a break structure, we had a like it it's moved on. I'm hoping for some sort of pullback. And like there's some good lines that line up in here that are right in this OTE. The hourly's got a 9. Hourly on this kind of is probably what I'll be watching, and I'm hoping that it'll sort of bleed a little bit, and then maybe this can kind of flatten out and start moving back up. But like bottoms aren't always like a V bottom. Sometimes they're like if you throw a ball at a ground, right, it's gonna bounce high and then bounce low before it
Absolutely.
momentum takes it on. So
I kind of visualize them like walls that move, like when you shake them. Like, it's price getting slammed into like physical resistance, and it can sit there and shake back and forth It's not going to print pretty because people are dying on it, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, like, there's
Um,
a lot of people that capitulated at $15. Found out the hard way.
so apparently I'm supposed to look at GS. I think Playmaker was asking for that. Yeah, do GS on stream. Um,
Shout out Playmaker.
Playmaker, dude, um,
Cracks me up.
he's awesome. So he didn't specify the time frame. So let's break it down. Oh, interesting levels.
What are those automated levels?
Those are the TD9s printing out pivots.
Cool.
And so like this is a stack of pivots, right? So I find this super interesting. So like clearly like that's
Hot.
like that's a level, right? Like we need to pay attention to that. And then you can look at the daily level. Yeah, there's a big nice confluence there. There's a whole bunch right in here.
They're asking if you code as well.
Nope. Try not to anyway. I do know how to code, but no, I don't.
Also, into that too, LD. A lot of the Discord guys like reach out to me, or they'll ask questions, or they'll ask it in the channels too, and I'll just go. If they need something specific, oftentimes I'll just write it for them and shoot it back to them if it's something really easy. Or you'll see like new things get incorporated into the Rainbow Trend stuff. That's like specifically like something they like. Hey, can you do this? And I'll go try to do it. And if we can add it, we can add it.
Right. Check out. So
That's
I just looked
pretty.
at the chart. I threw that on there, and look, like we've already determined that like look, this area we thought was important. Yeah, apparently there's a shit ton of pivots. We've got a stack of pivots here, so this is clear resistance.
Yeah, there's your
We've got
two ranges.
we've got our stack of greens, right? So
Three. That's three, not four.
hmm?
I thought I saw a double, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of it's chopping though. But what do you think of that new lower low, the far right, where it dips down back into the order block around like 295?
So we're looking at a daily and the EMAs. Well, this one's crossed, so but these two are stacked against you, so this could be a bottom, right? So what you would want to see is those EMAs to get. You need time for that one to work its way back to turn green, kind of thing, before you can get really super bullish when that price wants to do one of these things when the EMAs come in like this, and then that's your trigger. I think though, like we should, let's take it down to 4-hour chart.
Those pivots are stacked.
Interesting. This one's got some more cyan than this one. And the drop was without going white.
It's a lower low of weaker colors, but it looks like it dipped into that block and got rejected back up. Is the RS? Can you turn the RSI on? Weaker RSI too on the second drive down. Just one print. I don't know. I think you're gonna have to wait until that 312 pivot gets retested. Because you're right, like you said, it's crossed.
So I mean, like, this is like, yeah, this is like, it looks like I'd want to dive into it a little bit and study some of the levels here a bit. But like, just looking at the indicators, there was a squeeze happening in this here, because like this PPO was not really going there, but ADX was catching it, and then it flipped right here. Instead of doing this, where it comes down, red turns green, it kind of built momentum, and then something forced it to switch over. And TTM caught the squeeze right there in those candles, with that being green. So I mean, like, you should have been long, ideally here. So when you were above that there, that would have been your long entry, and then there, on this candle, or this candle here, you would have exited. So you would have been long here, or like here, and then confirmation would have been that momentum's rising, and your exit would have been confirmation that momentum's waning. RSI went yellow. Yeah, you would just exit here, and then I'd look to go back down. Like, this is gonna chop because your EMAs aren't stacked in a direction. You're counter trend trading, so you have to expect, um, from one end to the other, and then that's all you get. Right? We can show that chart. Um, where it was here. Yeah, it was here. So this is the one that I called the bottom on, which it's a little fucking early, but but I knew it was also counter trending. So here's your 4 hour.
That one was funny because I was like, "I'm in." You're like, well, "Chill, hold on." I'm like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah.
it's like I just take swings as these. I'll put a stop loss at break even. We'll be good. We'll get a little bounce.
Right. So okay, so here's the 4 hour that I caught. So here's
Clean as can
Boeing was in
be.
a downtrend. This is when I bought, right down in here. So we started to finally go flat. So I knew that there was going to be a position here, and I wanted to trade here.
You're just doing that off
Um,
candles.
yeah, and then so what I did is I looked here at the 1 hour, and I played that mean reversion. Remember, the 4 hour was right here. This is where the grid comes in, clutch. And then so I bought this, going green, because it hadn't been green, right? Change of character. So change of character, it was green, bought the green, and I was in it. And I tell runner, I'm like, I go 200. I go, that's where I'm taking profit. And the high was 199.60. Exited right then. That was me. I was in that wick. That
I,
was pretty awesome.
I think I caught it at like 185, and
And then
I just let it. I just put the stop once it popped. I just put the stop loss because I wanted the bottom. But
gotcha.
she died out, and I was like, "That's fine. I'll walk away."
Yep. And then the entry right now, and I am in this, is here. And so, I was hunting along here. So whenever it does this, I knew that, it may happen again, and I need to be prepared that a bottom could be near. So I waited patiently, and we had this, sort of explosive move here, showing, there's some definite reasons to consider going long, and
Somebody's showing up. The
that
the split volume looked real weird on this too.
um yeah, I do recall that was on. It's probably on this on my other grid.
The sails were the sail candles were scaling yellows. It was real weird looking. I normally don't see that, and I was like, hey, 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 something's up. And then that, sure enough, was close. Because as soon as they quit printing it, they it was gone. Yeah, look at that
Yeah,
RSI.
right. That yeah, you can kind of see. I didn't share this part of the grid, but like this is some of the other stuff that I was working on. So there we had our low. Um, we created an equal low, so I knew we were going to sweep it, and so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that low to get swept. Right, we talked about that early in the stream. Low to get swept. We want market structure to what? We want it to break. So we broke here, and so where's our entry? Right in here. And you can see
What's a break? A failed candle?
no this so a shift is when it's kind of like a change of character. So internally we've got a change in direction. It's one of the other reasons why I keep the colors off so I can see it a little bit better. Um,
You
down
pointed specifically to that
break a
wick. That's why I
character.
was curious. So the break a character
Well, I
is
wanted to yeah, so the break a character happened right in here when we broke this, and the cloud's green. Um,
when
and
you
so this
say
is when I got long.
broke this. Are you referring to the EMA cloud?
So the structure was down, right? We were down. So we got up, went down, and then boom. And no, it's not the EMA cloud.
You're seeing it as just straight candle colors. I just wanted to confirm because I'm trying to follow, and I'm sure the people watching
Here we
this are
go.
curious
Let me
too.
make it bigger. So I turned on an indicator that will help show it. So here's the equal low, right? So we had lows and we had highs. We had a break of that here, which was the trade we took, right? And then we had the equal lows get swept here. And that was the break of structure. That's what that is, the BOS. And then this created a structure here. And then we had our market shift. So that's the change of character in the long direction. That's when I'm looking to get long. And then so you bring that together with the cloud. Cloud's green. Squeeze is fired. PPO is below the zero line, letting me know that there's some momentum to be had once it's cleared the zero line and found support. The support should be within this EMA. Now I still fully expect this to chop here. I'm not expecting it to break through this, but like the next good trade besides like in this vicinity would be when this turns green, hopefully somewhere there. The price can go like this, and then you can get another entry there, hopefully something else to consider. But yeah, now I'm looking for these highs to get ran.
That's cool.
And then that'll be like coming up into this other resistance here. And you can tell by looking at this, there is momentum. You know, like we can still build momentum before it falls over. I don't know. It may roll over. It's the way it goes.
I remember when you first posted that chart. I couldn't believe the string of the RSI. I
Right?
was like,
It's
they're
ridiculous.
bleeding. Yeah, so
That's
like
why I'm looking at Jets. It's doing the same fucking thing.
that's the like. It's hard for me to explain stuff, but this stuff is like the whales have to. They only have so much gasoline that they can use to drive in like one direction, and there's multiple things that eat up that gas. That's burning RSI, burning candle prints, which are two different things. Candle colors and RSI are different. They're normally aligned, but it's two different types of expenditures of energy, and then like
Hmm.
taking out levels costs them a lot of fuel too. So like when pivots are stacked, they can't just walk across the line. They have to sit there and hit it and break through. And like even that pivot there, you can see it bounce. Now we got Vitalik
Pink. It's pink.
per hour.
Yeah, a whole nother 12-hour range, more than likely.
It's crazy.
I wanted to draw attention to the Rainbow Trend fam, that we are at a pivot high. So put your stuff back in your pants.
No,
Chill the
I
fuck
just
out just a little bit.
I don't know. People were
Everyone's
asking.
like, this fucker's gonna rip. It may like
I mean,
100%. We know
honestly, dude,
crypto.
like with Bitcoin going crazy over these like fake BlackRock ETF shenanigans, real BlackRock ETF shenanigans, I'm just like, to me, I'm not looking at this as a trade. I'm looking at this as like, this might be one of my last chances to pack bags for selling deep into 2024, 2025. And
Yeah, 100%. Like we can totally get on that topic too. Um,
because I don't think we're
because I
coming back lows. Like, I don't think you're getting $1,500 ETH again unless something like major denials. I don't know, something. It'd have to be pretty catastrophic. But like, you're at the see how there's like that order block. There's that green one that quits printing. Like if you draw that all the way to the cross, then there's the 2, 3 stacked there. Like
yeah,
you're in a giant resistance block. If that gives way, full send. Like
I agree. I'm fully packed. Um, I don't know if it's just gonna give though.
no, I don't know. I'm saying I'm at the point where I'm not, and I'm talking like spot. Like
Yeah,
I don't mind
yeah,
little rips back. You're not sending me a liquidation email.
right. How
And
many um like what do you think is what do you think the likelihood is that this retraces versus it just continues?
I think it makes because you remember Solana did this. Remember when Solana came up against that giant pivot wall and it kept bouncing off of it over and over?
Exactly. Yep.
But Solana didn't have an ETF news. That triple pivot was a mother. And I called that one too, that pink run, because it faded. They actually cut through the block. And I called that in the Discord. I said, guys, watch out. Because it was like, they just took all this energy to print pinks, white RSIs. They printed a higher high through the block, and there was no follow through on volume. I was like, that's it. It's a swing failure pattern. Get out.
Yeah. Yep.
And it bled out. But I'm super suspicious of this coin just because of the Alameda tainted effects of it. But hell, now maybe it's free and clear. I don't know.
Yeah, this has been a coin like everyone on our Discord certainly. This is like my coin. I don't know why. I like the way it prints. Probably like the same reason. Um, yeah, and I TP'd here, and like I don't know what's left in the tank outside of 48. 48 was always my it's done. Um, and I rotated into ETH.
I mean, what made you hit that? You took the pivot.
What makes me get out of the trade here?
Yeah. Why did you call 48 specifically? I know there's a pivot there, but
I think it was right there.
or 6. Oh yeah. So you just like I'm good enough.
Yeah, that was like my entry, and so
21 to 48.
like I'm okay with that. Um,
People get butthurt and they constantly like, man, I made gains today, but I sold too early, and I try to knock people out of that. And I was like, you you took an exposed risk and you got out in profit. There's no crying. Like
I mean, look at this rep, right? Like if I took off the drawing, well, here,
I
hold
saw
on.
that, and I still didn't touch it. I was like, I don't know.
Actually,
And this is also, remember, they were still having server issues back then.
right?
They would go
Look, it's
down.
it's almost identical, right? So here, like we can all say that this is a level, right? Like we can clearly
Oh,
see that's a level
yeah.
where this where the line is, right? And so from wherever this is to here was, 70, 80% or whatever. This is clearly also a level. And it's done the same damn thing from my entry, right? So it's up a shitload. It's time to, like it could just rip. Um, but that's when, you start looking at Sol Eth versus, um, you know,
Robinhood users have to be so mad.
did it take it out of there?
They
Like,
sold the people's soul out of their accounts down at like $15. The Pico bottom is when Robinhood dumped it.
Jesus. Why'd
It
they
was
do
like,
that?
it was Kathy Wood style.
Pressure?
No,
Was
they
it?
it was the FTX fallout and stuff. People started delisting after that crypto crash. A lot of stuff people started like the stockbrokers started pulling back, like delisting Doge, Sol, stuff like that.
Mm,
And Robinhood famously like just forced market sold everyone's positions in Sol, and now it's on a 15 to 48. That's a lot of pain.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Love this. No, I forgot about that. I haven't looked at this in a while. There's clearly,
She's volatile. I will tell you that though. It's more volatile than Ethereum and Zcash for sure. But that's the problem though. If like you cannot look away from these charts on Solana, because if you do, it's if you don't have your stops in place, it can eat you up because the moves are so violent. When it does start rolling, it rolls hard.
mm,
It's like the opposite of Litecoin, right? It's not going to just play a little bit; it's going to run. So yeah. Honestly, what are your thoughts on BlackRock filing the ETF on Ethereum before they even got the Bitcoin one? Do you think they already know the Bitcoin one's coming and approved, and they just like, all right, time to do ETH?
look at Sol just push. Look at that
Well, you're
on the
streaming about
daily.
it. They just found out it's your favorite coin. That's why they're buying.
I know, right? Get the fuck off my soul. It's time for Eth, bitches.
Oh, it painted so many
Um,
pinks, and it was blowing the reversion bands out. That's where I get uncomfortable. It's like I just want to exit it, and I can't.
well, yeah, it's
It's painting insane colors, strength wise, but it's people are fed up. People are fed up with bear markets, and you're starting to actually see apes come back, and they're angry, and they're leveraging like crazy. The OI sweeps are just getting nuts. One little like today we had the God candle on Ethereum. There was
mm,
$100 million in longs that were liquidated on that move, and I like go, how? How
wow.
did you do this? Were you just 50xing it? Like I kid you not, that move today, $111 million, I think was in 4 hours. I was like,
Hmm.
what on earth are you guys doing?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Hey, the eyes are getting crazy.
Total just up, up only.
But what are your thoughts? You think BlackRock knows they've got the Bitcoin one in the bag?
Oh yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I have like concerns over market behavior after an ETF is accepted, and yeah, I think in general it's net flows in, and I think it's going to take time for like adoption as far as like bigger bigger players to move into it. I think we'll get like lots of the flexible people, 401kers and things like that, self-directed guys. Um, the the flows that come from it'll be interesting. Will we get businesses that like investment brokerage firms for their clients saying, "Oh, I know that you wanted a 60/40, but if you model it out with 10% Bitcoin, it levels out all the drawdowns and by like more than half or whatever, and your portfolio has gains." Like, I think once that starts happening, the flows are just going to be nonstop. And then I start to wonder, do we have cycles in the way that we have halvings anymore? Because right now we have our flows that we all control, whales, whatever.
So the market has, so I understand that. So it's really two things. Because I mean, I remember when CME futures opened, and it was awesome. Everyone's like, "Great, CME futures opened at $20,000 Bitcoin in 2017 to the moon, and it
Hmm.
freaking tanked." Like, well, you
Yep.
can short these too. Oh, that's great. Uh, let's go to 3,000. But I think there's definitely, you could get a sell the news rip that could eat your face. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
that's
I think
something.
the volatility is going to be off the, like, it'll be ridiculous. Even like the fact that it's approved, volatility. The
Yeah.
day that it comes live, volatility.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you could also start see those candles where like there's just no liquidity. It blips up to 60K, then rips back down to 40, and it eats you alive. And like your stop
Yeah.
losses aren't effectively printing.
Well, so I don't know how they're going to manage the liquidity. That's another concern I have.
They
Do
said they're
they
acquiring it now.
Right, but like, do they drip into the market? Like, what if you get a net buyer of like,
It's
600 million, and
it's
they're
through
like,
Coinbase.
yeah, but my point is, so it's like, what if they have like a $600 million portfolio they need to buy for?
I
And so
assume
they
they're
do that.
OTCing it, but I don't know.
Right, but like, where's the supply? And so then the other part that like I don't, hopefully if they, like it'll be like the market will figure it out, but like if like Bitcoin rips, like they like that person got in and Bitcoin was like 100 grand, and like all these flows just pushed it up because there's no fucking supply. No one wants to sell. And now it's like 300 grand. Does the person that got in at 100 grand finally start, you know, taking profit? Because like if there's this flows in,
Are you talking like within 12 months or 3 years?
like, yeah, just uh, the way I look at it is sort of similar to the SPY, right? So the SPY doesn't go down either.
Except today. Thanks, Jerome. That was a fantastic speech with the protesters today because it was literally. Do you remember like the joke AI ones where they had Jerome come out and he's like, "Fuck your calls, fuck your puts, pop up Jerome, all that stuff." It was like that
Yeah.
real today. He's like, "Shut the fucking door," and I'm like, "This is live."
Yeah, that was awesome. But this is kind of what I mean though. Is like in general, the market's going up. This was a terrible,
That's my
terrible
favorite
time.
chart to watch Hot Pins in Discord talk about. He's like, it's like the lost decade where we just sat, it went back and forth in the same range, doing nothing.
So I was actually incredibly lucky. Is that like think my
Shout out Hot Pins.
I think I started building my 401k back in here, and so mine just went up, and I knew TA enough to not sell this. So I exited here, and I don't think I bought back in until somewhere in here.
That's awesome. Then you got the
Um,
ride from. It's an insane run. There's just no way else to say it.
but yeah, like I feel like maybe if you look at the Bitcoin chart, it kind of does the same thing, right? Like it goes up to the right. And
Is this log?
no, I don't think so. Wait,
You have
yeah,
to do log to get the
sorry.
Bitcoin one to look right. Yeah.
No, so this is the SPY, and that's log.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
That's a good point.
and and so it's like, okay, so if the flows do a similar thing, like, because like these are like monetary blips, like pandemics and random freakouts. But in general, like there's just pretty much it goes up to the right, and it's flow driven. And then you can buy that, and that's good. Or like you can maybe take 40 or 50% of your portfolio and try to find a um, better horse to hitch to. Um, but yeah, like I kind of feel like I wonder if like when we get an ETF, it's gonna do kind of the same thing now.
I mean,
So here's the log curve of Bitcoin, right? So we had this giant move. When you get rid of it, it starts flattening out. It kind of looks a lot more like the SPY now.
this is where I
And
really
these
like the
are
mayor multiple.
right. And I'm just wondering, is all that shit gonna break? Because look at Sailor, right? Like he peppered his bids all the fuck over. He bought the tops. He didn't
Yeah,
care. And he's net in. So are you telling me that you 401k person are ever gonna sell? Like if you knew what Sailor had proven to you, why would you ever sell your position?
that's the thing though.
Right? Like you just wait until you retire and then you sell.
That's the thing though, man. I don't know if normal people can handle that volatility though. Like we look at this and say that, but man, that ride from 20K to 3,200 was rough.
Well, that's where you and I like we can, maybe pick stuff out, right?
Maybe, but a lot of those guys are set and forget it, and they just watch the grind of the S&P. If they watched this, whew,
Yeah.
especially imagine like
No?
if you retired in 2022 and then you watched your retirement savings cut in half in a year, like you'd panic bad.
Right.
And maybe that does take the volatility out of it. But to be honest, man, the more you the more you adopt into Bitcoin, the scarcer it is, and there's more millionaires than there are Bitcoins. Period. So the halvening, I think, is going to slingshot. I mean, you open an ETF,
Hmm.
that's people needing demand. That's demand, no matter what it is. It's spot demand because it's not like people are going to be loading their ledgers into BlackRock and selling. At least that's my theory. But the miners are just you're going to cut the overall supply in half every day past that halving
Right.
date in 6 months. Like it's bad. I mean, it's a squeeze. So I don't. I mean, I think it's. I don't know. I don't know how you could argue it being bearish, but I mean, target wise, I don't know. I don't think you're going to see it go to like $1 billion, and I don't think you're ever going to see like $30 Ripple. But like,
Hmm.
you could hit
Yeah.
100K and just fucking hold. I
With
mean,
I think with Bitcoin it'll structure out like every market does where an algo is gonna request, like $600 million to get deployed. And so it's gonna find the positions that benefit the client the best. And so it will manipulate the market also. And so if somebody comes in with a bid that's fucking huge, they may drive down the price to get the bid filled. Um,
oh, that's
so
the other
yeah, like
thing too.
right, like
Is
we can have that happen as well.
oh yeah, my thing too is like, what if these degens just hear me out. What if they push this up to 60K and then the ETF drops? I was like, I don't think BlackRock's going to be interested. Like something in my gut tells me I think BlackRock's going to want to start this ETF back down in the lower price range, not open it at an all time high and like crypto rip it back down. But
100%,
the
right? And
timing's right though. I mean, it's
like they'll look at the supply, they'll know like these guys are got way more time and effort and money and like a whole crew. They can go and figure out, okay, well,
they don't
this
lose.
this many of positions have like weak hands because they've been purchased recently and you know they're in a small wallet, whatever it is, and they can flush people out with little liquidity.
They're
Because like if they have like 600 million to deploy, let's say, and they'll they could chew up a whole bunch.
that's what's even
You know,
the
like
depth on that, right? Let me have a go look at the coin market cap.
I mean,
Bitcoin like 2% depth. What is it?
like like I think it's hard for I think it's hard to like understand, but like people like if they want to drive the price down and they can accumulate enough to do so, then they can eventually do that.
Oh yeah, but I mean like right now, say you were a whale with $600 million. You drop $12 million on Binance right now, price is going to instantly drop 2%. Like the liquidity for a $600 million, like that's hard. Like people, oh yeah, I'll just fade it in.
Exactly.
You can't just buy $1 million of Bitcoin for 60 days straight and not cause a run. Like
Exactly. And so they want it to not cause a run. So what they have to do is chew up people's orders by flushing out liquidity and creating a whole bunch of barts and whatever.
yeah, so maybe Caroline got another job.
I think that whole crew is only good at taking money and destroying it.
She's got to have the
they,
greatest trait, like
they
the
they gave it
greatest.
all away and then burnt all the rest of it. It's like holy shit, man.
Something went really bad because they couldn't have gone that long. I know he originally built it on like the kimchi premium, which was free money, but it's an
Mhm.
arbitrage. But that's
Yeah,
bad, dude.
I remember you talking about that, and yeah, you kept me off that exchange from the shit that you were talking about and how you were saying like your bots couldn't work on certain other places, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ.
I appreciate those words because I got shit on a lot. I was like, FTX is fucky, and people are like, bullshit, blah 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 blah. I'm like, I'm telling you guys. I was like, the order books look weird when you watch the bots fight on them, and then like trading bots would quit working, and some of my quant friends, I would reach out and like, and we have got like these little chats where coders are sitting there talking bots, and I'm like, man, this thing works on Coinbase but doesn't work on FTX US, and it's like Bitcoin trading. And I'm like, I don't understand the liquidity. And they're like, yeah, dude, same thing. Doesn't work, but it works on Kraken, Binance, Coinbase. I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure Alameda's backdoored this. And lo and behold, I feel like we
Dun,
got a
dun, dun,
few people
dun.
off, but man, people would. I just don't understand how people defended it so hard. Like, if you said anything bad,
Yeah,
people would. How dare
it
you?
was it was definitely a case of you spread enough money to enough people and people will buy the lies. Or they won't they actually not even the lies, it's just so much the deception. Let's just
Yeah,
call it that.
people. I was like, the dude literally built a home base in the Bahamas, conveniently offshore of the United States restrictions, and is flying in the Clintons. Like, you don't in hiring supermodels. I was like, you don't think this is kind of weird? Like, this
Yeah.
is,
There's a lot of stuff sketched. That's for sure.
yeah. We got a few people out, man. I mean, there's a few guys that still follow me, and they're like, dude, like, I pulled when I started just firing off the alerts and was like, that's it. Like, guys, like, go go go, because Binance is making his move on them. Like, there are guys are like, they literally got out their life savings 12 hours before they shut it down.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Like I don't even put that much on an exchange that like it's gonna it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck a lot, but it's not gonna change my life if it all happened to go away. If
Yeah.
it's too big, you take it off, start over, right?
I mean, that's another thing though. BlackRock, I might not. I might split cold storage into BlackRock. Like, I would consider that.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid ledgers get hacked or something like that. I feel cold storage at like a Fidelity or a BlackRock level is similar safety, sort of like government confiscation talks, which could happen, but you know, I mean, if people, oh no, that never happened. I mean, United States confiscated gold, like
For sure.
that happens.
And look what Canada did, right?
Yeah,
Those truckers, like that scared the shit out of me. Like legitimately,
I
I
legit
was like,
thought we were going to get our privacy coin run. That's never happened. I was like, this is the time for Monero and Zcash Because
Right.
when they started, like, okay, yeah, you sent $20 to support the truckers that are peacefully protesting. We're locking your checking account, and I'm sorry you can't pay your mortgage. It's like people lose, like teachers were losing their houses over that, and I was like, this is getting real. You're just proving the use case of what like Satoshi envisioned.
Wonder, did the Discord fam saw this? I think. Hopefully called the bottom. Not 100% yet, but
I have a friend who works at a firm and was asking me about it last night, and I was adamant. I was like, the he was talking. I was like, the entry's Ethereum. It's like, what are you talking about? Everybody's talking trash. It's like, Bitcoin is not going to go 2 levels up and leave Ethereum behind. I was like,
yeah.
it is primed and coiled for a freaking slingshot. I don't care what everyone's
I
crying
just
about. Like, it will
yeah.
slingshot eventually. And then I didn't know the news was coming today. And that dude, they entered last night and they exited today at like 2100. And I was like, oh shit. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There's your TD9.
Yep. And you see where it is, right? Like it's in that wick right at the bottom of it. And then a reversal canceled the 9. So, like if we did get a pullback, we should start building some sort of cause for a reversal here.
What's crazy to this to me is that the colors and the rainbow stuff works on this because I never built it to do pairs.
Mm.
And it works. But I mean, just speaking broadly, like there's people that trade orange juice and lumber on this, and I have to say, like adamantly, like it was not built for that. But I'm super interested that you just made bank on plywood and rainbows.
Right.
That's cool. You got to freaking the colors, the white, yellow rotation with the rainbow bar or a rainbow
Yeah.
notification.
Yep.
So people were calling this death when you got bound back below like 52.
Oh, so I mean, like I think it's
I say people, I say
Jo-
crypto Twitter.
yeah, yeah. Josh is saying that he thinks that ETH is gonna bleed out, and that means that Bitcoin's gonna keep going higher.
Did he say
Um,
that post the news?
Post the news of what?
The ETF registration?
Hmm.
Because that changes everything on a PA standpoint. Like it's
That's fair, and I think his stream was early this morning, somewhere somewhere between 10 and 12 my time Pacific. I think is when his stream was. I can't remember exactly, but I mean, like, I see this as like there's a good chance for a reversal, at least back up to the 50% maybe. The only thing is that this is going to act as resistance for a while, and we're going to chop through this. So it does make me wonder how fast and violent ETH is really going to go. It may take a bit, but I mean
it might, but
we could do something like this, but
it's also at crazy resistance on the dollar pair. So it may just chug at that level like Sol did.
yeah, exactly, and give up,
Because that's the other
right?
thing
And that,
too is the way you get your gas tanks back, like the whales do, in my opinion. If you can slam a level with colors, RSI, pivots, and all that stuff, if they can let it bleed sideways, they get their juice back. They can then make the next move up. Because otherwise, we would just be round tripping Doge to $1 every day. Like there are limits. 21.19. At
I'll show you that one
least
too.
it's not TD9.
I meant to pull this fib for you guys. I wanted to show that one too.
This chart's been way harder than Bitcoin though the past 6 months.
So, but here's your fib entry on ETH, and you'll notice where the delivery is. It's perfect. So I'm 100% confident this is the delivery. The hard part is like you can get these things where they don't get past 1 in a heavy resistance like this. So will we back up and feed back into this area? That's entirely possible. But I wouldn't expect it to close below say like 50% of this candle. That would
Even
be.
is with the ET. I'm shocked that they did the ETF. I didn't see that coming. I thought they would get established with Bitcoin and then maybe consider rolling it out. Because like you remember how long ETH CME futures came after Bitcoin CME futures? Like it was years.
Mm.
So I wasn't expecting BlackRock to like, hey, we don't even have the Bitcoin one approved, but we're going to file the Ethereum one. I was kind of shocked. So now I'm like, well, maybe they're going to do a Litecoin one next. We'll see. But um, I can't tell if Trader Main's actually joking, if he's really rotating into Litecoin.
uh, let me go look.
It makes sense. It's just Litecoin's not a great performer, but it is OG enough to get an ETF. Like you're looking at like Ethereum Classic, Bcash, Litecoin, maybe Ripple.
I I know that. So I rotated. So he played Eth when I was in Seoul, and he was quite pissed off that Eth was getting crushed. Um, but his long is delivery through about right in here, this area here, this 20. What I've got marked here, it's a little higher than his, um, but it's really it's this is like the high kind of like this is the area where you want to be starting to looking for reasons to TP or just get the fuck out sooner. Like these anywhere from here about 22 to 2350, 22 to 50 to 2350 kind of the area. I think he's where his target is, right in that area.
If we get into that type of bull
Um,
trend though, I'm gonna be looking to ride it for a year.
you're gonna be so
But
yes,
we
you're gonna
could
take like there's a chance, right? Like it'll push straight to 3K, like 100%. Like we could totally do that in just a couple, like weeks.
well, if that happens, that's paint levels where I have to TP. But I'm talking about if it starts grinding and showing like it gets all your EMAs lined up and it gets
That
above like the 12-hour cloud, I kind of just want to be a
well,
cloud rider.
that's where I'm like, this is where it gets to where I'm starting to look at the date and where people might want to um, be in and out of trade for whatever reason, because it's the end of the year kind of stuff,
Oh yeah,
uh, and they have the holidays with Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, and they have vacations and whatever that is. You know, people do it on their phones nowadays. So, but maybe they've set their TP ahead of time. That's always possible. That's really cool. Um, but that's what I'm like. Maybe this thing can just deliver real quick. It went down real quick, so why can't it go up? Um, I don't know that there's enough gas, but yeah, I kind of look at this as like we've got on the weekly anyway. These EMAs are not very great, and then but on the daily, it's finally stacked and it's above. I Bitcoin kind of did this too. Didn't really give you a chance to get out of this strong trend. But if this were to pull back towards 2 grand tonight, that'd be a good spot to enter. I don't think we'll get back down here. Nope, no chance.
so for that type of stuff though, like if we get into that grind, I really like the channel walker tool on like 6 hour or 12 hour. If you turn that one on and you go look at the previous all-time highs, it gives you a clean get out. I know you don't use that one a lot, but it's for you want to do a macro setup instead of like watching clouds and stuff. You can just do the channel walker and go to settings and switch the width of it to like 0. I think I'm gonna make that default next. I usually put the width to 0 and just leave the other one at 2. But go to like 6 hour time frame and go look at like the previous all time highs. It's a real clean signal because I use this when we actually do channel walks too. But it's like,
You talking about right in here?
yeah, that one and the previous one. No, go higher. When it was like at like 4,000. Like if we get into
Oh,
a real macro, like this thing's cooking, there's your like real clean. clean signal right there. That one was perfect. Yeah, those two. Especially that last channel walk up to like 40, 48. It was channel walked and then it just broke it. And it's like, all right, it's clear.
Yeah, this is something I haven't used because I didn't understand how you use it.
Yeah, it's kind of a
That's super interesting.
so it's what the idea was is like you know how you're like you look at multi time frames and you're like, should I be bullish? To me, I
Yep.
wanted to make something that was really simple for people that isn't just straight up an EMA. This thing's got some secret sauce in it, and
Right.
it'll hug like when we manually trade channels like channel walks, it'll hug the bottom of them too, and it
Huh.
it kind of gets between
It's
in your
clever.
EMAs and your clouds, like the real Ichimoku clouds,
Yeah.
and so I'll sit there and just like people like, are we bullish or bearish? I was like, well, what's it on the daily? What's it on the 4 hour? What's it on the 2 hour? What's it on the 1 hour? And you can get that idea. It's like, hey, this thing's rocking on the 6 hour. Let's just ride this thing and not try to scalp it. Wait till there's like a market shift, market or MSS, right? Market structure shift. Let it break this thing or at least turn it yellow. Because it did the same thing on the Bitcoin. If you put this on the Bitcoin like dailies and stuff, it's real clean. It cuts out at like 50 something, 50K.
So that's awfully close to the one I don't use all the time. So this one here,
Mm-hmm.
7289.
I told you I'm working on something to get you off Ripster clouds. I'm trying to modify this to where it does multi like yours does, but I'm struggling with it because it needs a lot of candles to make the data.
Yeah, this is pretty sweet. Oh, I might have to look at this.
So this one too, it's like when looks okay.
That's
So
sick. So
so like turn your Ripster clouds off. So like the idea of the
hold on a
channel. Or
second.
go ahead.
So this was when this is the distro, yeah, right before it crashed.
Yeah, yeah. So this thing is like because like when we start crashing and we don't get like death wicks and people are like, should I long? Should I long? Just look at this
Yeah.
thing. Is it red? Chill the fuck out. Don't do anything. Just wait. Because it'll sit there and make you sit cash for a majority of the bear cycle, especially on the higher time frames.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, like look at dailies. You just like, ah, I'm out. And instead of sitting there capitulating over and over and over, you could just like, is the channel walker green? Nope. I'm not looking to long. Daily's a little slow, but like 12 and 6 I like a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It's the 6 was real tight. I was looking at this because like I wasn't in on the when it crashed. I was out. Got out way earlier. Didn't deal with the noise. I gotta reset the chart again.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
But yeah,
So
see,
you could
this
have sat
is
there and just, no, not touching any of that till it gets down to like $1,000.
so how does that? So the other one that some people might not know is the one that
HMA?
the one that Blake
HMA.
I think helped bring in, right?
Yep.
And so
I turn off
yeah,
all those.
yeah, sorry, didn't want that on there.
He uses the 100, but I think the default's 125 or 120.
Well, yeah, so you have what's interesting is the different time frames too, right? Um, so like here's the 120, and you got the break, which is super interesting. So when the price makes this low and it breaks through it, this is like your bottom.
Oh, when that thing
And then
karate chops through a top, pay attention.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, same difference, top or bottom. And then one point I was
'Cause it slices through Barts like you wouldn't believe. Like it'll cut you out early on the top of a Bart, and you can sit there and wait for the move.
so like
Isn't that great?
here's one I was toying around with was the 45 because it'll scoop up the trend. So that's your counter trend. till you're red. Both are green. There's your green trend. Exit flat. Buy your green.
I think I have a super guppy version of this somewhere in the archives where it plots like the 10, the 20, the 30, the 40.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool, but I never released it. Yeah, the HMA, it moves so weird, but it's so good on tops, especially on Bart. Yeah, see that where it cuts it on that Bart? Ugh. You get on a crazy parabolic run, you're riding pinks. It's a really good secondary verification. Is like, should I take some profit? Yes. If it karate chops through that thing, it's a great place to get out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he was
Shut
chatting me
up, Blake. We
once.
love Blake. Blue
Yeah,
pineapple.
he's awesome. We have a lot of good people on our Discord. He was
Best.
telling me, here, let me clean that one off of there.
Yeah, you guys went crazy and blew up his DMs, and I was like, haha.
So like here's like another system that you by using the EMA cross with the HMA cross. So if you turn down the EMA to 120, and then you follow the tight one, when the price crosses through it, I'll turn this on too. More. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. So, like you can kind of see what happens now. The when the price catches its bottom, the HMA will scoop it up, and you can see then it enters into the trend.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
RSI prints the top for you, and then if you exited, you would exit either cutting through here or, um, you know, because what you don't know, right? This is why you would have cut it. You don't know is that it's going to fall through, right? Like just go back down. So the idea is that when it comes through here, this is when you're cutting it, and then bonus points for if the cloud's turning red as it's doing it, then yeah, you definitely got the right trade. The other one though is that when it follows this is that you're just holding because this is green, um, and so it just went through. So you actually didn't get like a clean signal because for me, I need my cloud to go red.
The cut.
But yeah,
Go look
but
at
if you
the
didn't,
ones that trended down. Did it look different? You go look at that previous Bart that we had. The
like back
that
in
one,
here,
that one. Yeah. What does that one look like with your clouds? Because you were asking about the trend up versus trend down. That was the trend down, and it broke down.
uh-huh.
I want to just see it live. Yeah, that got a bunch of turns.
And so no one's catching that.
That one had Barts in the hairline. It was rough. Like if you zoom in, there was quite a few.
This was this was the
That
long.
sucked.
This is the long that you would have taken. Right, I think I was probably doing that.
That Bart scared a lot of people, dude. Because it broke the level too. Look at there's quad pivots there, and it broke straight through it like it was nothing. That scared me. And then it woke up. And I was like, I'll be damned, because I saw the RSI bottom on the H4, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Then I turn it on. To turn it on. Yeah. See, his is the same deal. See, so I saw it take the structure out, reclaim it, go long, and then this is like it went through the cloud. Same diff. Yeah, I think I've been I haven't caught up with chat in a bit. Server's asking, how do I flip back and forth between the indicators underneath?
I think they're talking about how you flip the PPOs on.
What you mean? Oh, okay. So you can pull your grid. So you hold down the Alt button, push left mouse. Or like if you're inside an indicator, let's say you wanted, one of these or whatever, you can just double click it.
What's weird about a lot of that stuff, I don't remember how I learned it. I didn't read tutorials on it. It's cool.
So Esk is asking about, which one was that on? On F. The Ichi Cloud on the weekly?
Turn on Itchy Cloud on the weekly. Carpe Noctem would appreciate the call, I think. 2800F. But we appreciate the hell out of
Oh,
Josh.
right. Yeah. So, yeah. And so that's a good point. Like he was showing this on his stream today, and he's got an edge-to-edge case built here for
Oh,
F.
talk to me. 29?
Yeah. And so if you see it, it also, like, I was like fascinated that the edge to edge, my pivot and my fib pool. So like it's happening. Just in when is the question, right? At least that's my gut feeling anyway. Could it reject? Sure. I kind of doubt it.
That's the thing, though. Like, they hit that by the end of December. Like, I'm going to get real freaking antsy. It's like, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be cutting for the end of the year.
I think, and I think
Tax
I think it would be
purposes.
exactly. And honestly, all the better for it, right? Like we've had this thing just march on, right? Here's my pivot, same thing, edge to edge. Um, you know, I think the market's not done. My target, it's funny, like, yeah. Anyway, I think the target is there. I would venture to guess it finishes by the end of the year, just so that people can get out and start a new year.
Now, do you think the market, you say you don't think market's done yet. My question is, do you think the market started? Because this looks like the macro bottoms in. Like I really don't have a justification anymore to say we're going back into the range that we've been in on Bitcoin for 2 years, or 2022, or July of 2022 to like this. Like I don't see how we get back into the low 20s.
Definitely.
It seems early.
I agree. I I kind of agree. As far as like it feels early. The one thing that I'll say, this is not the chart we want to look at. We need more history.
So I'm like, man, if this thing starts rocking and goes to 60K before the halvening, I'm gonna get real weirded out.
It would be super weird, and it would like blow out a lot of the things like that. Like it would, everything's possible. But I think what I was gonna point this out. Like, I'm glad you brought that up too. I was kind of feeling that same way. But like, we basically have like a period that we move up, and then we sell off, which creates a range, right? And so we created this range that, you know, this was obviously the premium side of a PD array, right? This is a giant sideways range, and then we marked up again. So we went up, we went consolidate, then we went up again. Then we distributed here, and then we went down, and we consolidated, and now we're on the up phase again. The up phase last time was like after we made this bottom, finished before the top. So, that's where I'm like 47 seems decent. And then we sold off, and then hopefully it goes again.
So my thing with that though is I look at 13.5 very differently. The rally after 3300 differently than most people. To me, 13.5 was just as hot as 20K. Um, it printed ungodly pinks going into that, and um, I think 13.3,
They had the other one on there.
and I got
Someone in chat. Hold on. Sorry, runner. Someone in chat. Tell me a happening indicator.
Doppel Toolkit. Shout out, Dop.
Is it in there?
I saw it in your thing. Yeah. No, it's
Oh,
not.
I
I
don't
just
think
see
it's not
Doppel
in there.
stuff. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Always tell him I'm your number one fan, bro. Never need to apologize.
um. Yeah. The market structure is up. It is not consolidating. Like you could have argued that it was consolidating here and it could have broke down, but then we started a
I mean,
market drop.
that was
So
12 months. That's 12 months of a fixed range. So I agree.
it was like this was sideways, right? So
It's sneaky, but
it's clear
yeah.
it's clearly pricing up. I can't believe that this like this little section here is this section. I'm
If it
having a hard
is,
time.
we're talking like 300K targets.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, no, I mean, I know, I hear you, because that's the thing too. Is I feel like it's early. So my question is like, but that's the thing though. Like I'll scream it in the Discord and Twitter. Like we start painting colors like that 13.5 had. I'm looking to TP, and it's just like I sell on white candles. I don't care when Bitcoin actually hits whites on lower time frames. It's time to get out.
The 13.5. What are you talking about?
Go back to the daily, or go back in time. You have to go further. So after the 20K rally, we went down to 3,000. Yeah, that one. People ignore that one, right? In June of
Mm.
2019, people ignore that peak, but it was parabolic as hell.
Oh. Oh
Three,
yeah, this.
yeah, everyone ignores that. They say Bitcoin went from 20 to 60K. Those were the two peaks. That's the third peak that was in between them, and it was
Right.
lower, but it was just as hard on the paint. And
Yeah.
the Rainbow Theory OGs at that time, before it was like even public, like we cut at 13.3,
Mm-hmm.
and it just whoop, whoop, and then it bled out for months. And then the whites came back on the COVID dip and emptied the bank account and bought that black swan as much as Coinbase would let me, because Coinbase kept going down. We're panicked trying to log in, seeing Bitcoin at $3,000, trying to buy it up.
I think I showed this one too. I can't remember, but here's another pinch setup play. I wanted to point that one out. I can't remember if I showed that, but a multi-time frame pinch setup. So here's it on the daily.
I want to make
5
something that like combines all three of those. Probably do it. But Mally likes big monitors, so it's all right.
Yeah. I got 2 stacked 34s.
There you go.
That's my sweet spot. I don't feel like I need any more. I do have like a tablet and stuff around the screens and stuff like that, but yeah, most of my work just on the screens.
Did your daughter ever hustle you and like, Dad, you should really like look at this 50-inch ultra wide. Maybe I'll take your 34s.
I actually no, so I my daughter gets all the nice stuff too, and she also has 34s. But uh, she yeah she she's a gamer, and so she was gaming on some old hand me downs, and she's like, oh, it's fine. I don't need your 34 or whatever. And so one day when she's out of school, I put it up there and I upgrade her graphics card to like a 3080 or something. And she comes back, and so she's got a 34-inch ultra wide. She's like, what the fuck? So she's starting gaming on it. She's like, oh.
There's no going back. I like how
She's
you're
like,
like
this
hand me
is
downs.
amazing.
She's got a 3080 and a 34 inch thing. And I'm like, dude, that's my rig right now is a 3080 Ti, and you're hand me downs.
Yeah, I like my toys, and sometimes I got to get new ones.
awesome.
Anyone in chat have any tickers that we should look at? Because
Or
no one's
questions.
sent us some. Yeah, or questions. Because please do send them our way. I think the like, who do we have in chat? Do we have Playmaker in? I know that him and I and a few others we were stalking coin. So that was a nice rip.
Yeah, the option flow was crazy too. I was messing with Doppel's bot that he installed in the Discord last night, and it was just 50 something premium in calls on coin. I was like, oh my god. And I started shooting it over to underdog charts. He's like, dude. And sure enough, this morning, 10% rip up.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, the Coinbase, like, it's the lagging play, or it's the obvious parallel play to the ETF approval, because all the ETFs reference Coinbase's custody, and they are just going to eat the
Well,
fees.
so I kind of see like some sort of Wyckoff thing going on here.
Oh, it's a
So like we
clear range. If
killed
you
out, like we had some,
look at the
it,
pivots on 6 and 12, it paints the Wyckoff. Sorry to cut you off, but it makes it real easy. Yeah.
no, don't worry, you're not cutting me off. Yeah, I can see that. A little bit noisy here, but like these are like your definite. You got your swing, and then like we've got a sign of strength building here. Clearly, this is where I was hunting. This is my ground. That's where I was getting all my orders.
So that's one
And
thing I want to get better at is spotting signs of strength. Like you can't get a creek past me anymore, but the SOSs I still want to pick up better.
yeah, um, so I do a lot of fib work. I don't. I should post um, more charts on our Discord about with the fibs on there because not all of them are there. But I do a lot of fib work in order to find out where I might be interested. And so this was one, right? So we had this markdown phase here, and when it ripped, it didn't leave anything behind, no structure. So this is all like a buy side imbalance. So it just ripped. So there's a sell side inefficiency, buy side imbalance. So there's this giant, you know, candle basically with no selling. And so we eventually sold down through it, and lo and behold, it happened to catch my eye that we stopped right here in the OTE area, and I was like, oh fuck, if that actually is a delivery model, this thing's gonna go really high.
You
Um,
caught an OTE out of a channel walk break. That's awesome.
So if you look at where it delivers, um, you know, 4 is back at the all-time highs. Like we're right in there. I also caught this one too, right? Like this was the bottom. Of course, I don't short it, but I did notice that this one printed the same way. And then we had a delivery that came down 168 here, and then that's where we did that's where our range
It's like
got
your
built.
point of control.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. I mean, I think we run these equal highs here eventually. Um, and then it'll start some sort of cause where then it'll build, and hopefully it'll just keep going. You know, September next year maybe. Who knows? This thing will be.
Oh, if they start having to ramp up employees and everything, I mean that's the one thing about Armstrong though is they overstaffed way too much in the tail end of the bull market.
They did. It was
Um,
insane.
and their calculations of how to staff their company really upset me because they literally were taking they calculated the premium fees they were getting during the legendary Doge run and projected that over 3 or 4 years. And they hired staff to take on that type of growth, knowing a bear market was coming just on the cycles. And I was like, dude, they overshot it so bad. And they I think they let go, what was it, 50% or 40%? It was a big head cut.
Yeah, they really crushed their employee base. Bad morale there for quite a while too, as well.
Yeah, and I know Kraken even had to let go.
I
Um,
know they had some kind of offices or whatever that was in my local area, just outside where I'm at, and I was like, wonder if I should take a job there. And then I was like, this is at like the top of the market. There's no fucking way I'm taking a job right now in crypto.
yeah, NY Dig had a similar thing. They set up a huge thing in a city somewhat close to me, and they right around when crypto was like 50K. He
Yeah.
bought out this huge office, and then sayonara, and they've sold off like all these people that were there. And I was messaging up and stuff like on LinkedIn and stuff. They're gone.
I hope Fletch has been paying attention to the screen while we've been chatting, but I've been trying to answer a question with the screen. So TD sequential. There's another one too out there. So if you just
There's a bunch of them, and they're
and and there's a whole bunch of them, and they all sort of print differently. I like this one. There's others that also print well, whatever. But I I I scraped it, and if you just do a search for Malifestro TD sequential, you'll find that it's the same thing. Because I had a hard time finding it after I lost it on my thing, and I was like, that's not happening again.
that's a cheat
so
code for bookmarking.
so yeah, that's how that is. So it's out there in the public too. So if you want to use it, yeah, whatever, it's all good.
I'll scrape that one from you, fix the 13, and send it back to you. Because that's the one that it quits printing the 10, 11, 12, 13.
We're supposed to look at boomer coins.
Oh, EOS, obviously.
Then apparently we're supposed to also turn on boomer SMA.
Making me want to play Years of War. Was it the Boomers? Yeah, they had the gun. I think was the Boomer. If not, Left 4 Dead.
A 9. No, boomers don't need 9s. Need 200s.
It's true though. I hate I like you'll get into some of those boomer threads and they're like they'll talk about this golden cross that's about to print for like 3 months straight. It's like, yeah. And then it actually
Well,
happens and they're like, man, it was front ran. I'm like, well, you can guess when it's gonna happen.
so Litecoin is below the boomer buy level, but it swept all these lows, swept local lows,
That one I
and
actually
it's
do look at
pricing up.
Bitcoin pairing for bottoms.
Oh, Litecoin, yeah, that makes sense. Boomers don't use rainbow trends, do they? Do we have any boomer customers?
I like to joke that Pins is.
All right,
I had a good shout
we'll
out
be
for him the
careful.
other day in the Discord. Someone was like, oh no, I went all in when Pins called bottom, and I said, yeah, you typically don't fade people that like minivans and quote reference the Russell 1000. Those dudes have alpha. Maybe we get
Yeah,
Litecoin, man. I think honestly, last time Litecoin was starting its parabolic run, probably close to like $1,000 target, and then everything just came falling down because like it started painting the colors to do a Litecoin bull run, and then it everything died right when it started. Ethereum made its parabolic run, then Litecoin started, and then everything went to shit. Silver, shout out Crypto Paradigm.
yeah. I was like, it was his birthday, so I was finding out if we're all supposed to buy the bottom for dime. I mean, this is some interesting lows happening in here.
It's real cyclical, but man, it's you got to
It
takes
hasn't
years to
really,
find it.
it hasn't really finalized a bottom so much.
No, I'd want
Other
another
than other
drive.
than a other than it could be the bottom if you were just gonna knife catch kind of thing, set your stop
Yeah,
below the low kind of thing. That's not really my style though.
I can see that, but I think I think time you need to wait personally, but
Yeah, I mean like each cloud's red, 6 hour.
if you're listing time, this is the best looking chart ever, and it's about to moon $200 an ounce. It's gonna be a good year for dime.
Dude, I mean like it's closer to the bottom than yeah. I mean that's insane.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like, you
It's
want
like
to talk
half
about
a
like
year for 30%. Oh my gosh. Like, why is he pimping silver? Dime? Sorry, dude. Why are you pimping silver?
we're gonna have to edit this out.
Yeah, we are.
I'm a huge Dime fan. I love that
No,
dude.
so am I.
Need to
I
get
love
him on
Dime as well.
stream soon too. Yeah, no, I
This was mine. So I played this year, Carvana,
I've been
and this
botting this
one
one lately.
this one was ridiculous.
And
It was
yes,
incredibly difficult to hold because it was really volatile at a point. Um, but I'm so fucking proud of this trade because I actually rode this. So this was an entry, and this was my other entry, and then um,
why did you enter?
this
Let's back that up. You're assuming we see it. I
okay
see
yeah
fibs there, so I think you bid, but
yeah so this was just like I was just working on structure, and so um, we've got nested bids from the lows in through here.
when I see double pivots
Um,
get respected, I get so excited.
yeah, so this was the mean reversion one here. I did not exit here. Like this is I got out for fear of what the fuck was about to come down. Like I fully expected this thing just to rip to the back. So when it started in here, this I just exited, and then I just waited, and then we charted. Like I charted this respecting these levels. I want to like this is why like
You've got a triple pivot
Rainbow
on top,
Trends.
yeah.
This is why Rainbow Trends is like pimp for pivots like in this easy mode. And this is why I lay it over with time, right? Like this is the stuff. Like forget the fact that the colors right now are jacked. Like we can fix that. The but pay attention to like just the like we got the break it structure, get a way to get in, um, and then it marks up whales all the time. It's just nuts,
Well print, well
right?
print, well print, well print
Yeah,
on
they don't
high
stop. They
time
don't care.
frames.
Yeah.
What's cool too is look.
So
Did you see the flip of the whale prints though? In that mid range on the left before May. No,
this
wait,
here.
it's far left. Look at the
Oh,
cluster of
here.
them. Yeah, they're crushing it, not letting it mean revert harder, and then they get another low sweep, and then boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
And then they start stacking in the right way and then flooding in and yeah, it's just
That's what Shib
this was
does
a
on 30-minute candles. It does that. It'll stack down, and then all of a sudden you'll see well prints in that pattern, and it'll run. It's
yeah.
cool to see it on Carvana. That's
So this was a
badass. You
good
caught it.
trade. And like easy out. Like
Rainbow
it's just an
rotations,
easy out.
pivots held. Yeah.
I know. And like again, the colors are not they're not right. If they were right, it's so much better. This chart was really easy. I think I had a like 175 on this chart. And then right, and this is when I started going, okay, we're coming up to an equal high again. We're either going to run this equal high higher or below.
You see,
We run the low, and it printed red. You've got stacked EMAs against you, and I 100% all of it. and I wasn't going to touch this coin unless it came back or coin. Didn't touch this Carvana until it came back above,
You have a
and then I did it.
subtle color change too here. You see how you have
Hmm.
the market structures like the swing on the left side that's pink and it prints that second pivot and it's slightly lower than the other pivot at like $57 and it comes up and it you see the well print the green one to shoot it up again on the right side.
Yeah,
It
here.
no the second one, the one on the yeah that one. So that one is where they try to take it and they're like, let's try to get this thing above this double pivot. This is our go time to go above $58. And look at the red well print that says, nope, I'm not letting you print pinks today. It's only going to let you get a purple. And that's it. That's all she wrote. That's your
Right.
rejection as far as like straight up color reads. If like, if you really want to get into like, that's a whale taking about 2 to 3 swipes, trying to break through a double pivot, failing and giving up.
Yeah. Yeah, the Carvana trade was pretty awesome. It caught a news. This is a news bid here, so I'm interested again. Um, so
They had
yeah,
layoffs too.
they did. They cut a bunch of stuff.
Big.
Um, but but like now we're starting, like if we get back into the lower time frames, you'll start finding what a reason why maybe it did bottom again. So I
That
have
looks a
my
lot
eye
like your
on
Boeing
this.
chart.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of charts will do that, you know. And this could be in a downtrend where it's going to come back down. No, here, right?
So do you
And this
call
is
that a
the
dead
bigger
cat bounce or what's
this.
smack? Yeah, I
No,
don't ever hear you say that very often.
it's this right here. It's some sort of range. Wait, we're in log mode. Are we in log mode?
Better be.
There we go. See, so we might still be printing down. So if we went to 6 hour, where was that pivot? Yeah, the pivot's here. So and that's what I was trying to show. So the pivot's here and here. The range, medium, mid is here. And so if you go back to the 1 hour, actually no, go to 4 hour. Yeah. And then you pull the fib. You can see it's just rejecting the 50%. And it's right on my pivot too, right? So I have the pivot high and the pivot low, 50% right here. And so we're in a downtrend. So what I want to see is support here. I don't think it's going to go like this, but it could. I want to see it go and flush and then go.
I want to see whale prints.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any of that right now,
You have the yeah.
which we had all along before when the whales were here. And this is a reaction from the earnings. That's it. And that does it. It's always going to do that.
I'm gonna push you into Disney and Target.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm long Disney. You and I were talking about this a long time ago.
Oh, I kept watching it. And I was like, there's eventually some point people are gonna quit caring about the wokeness and just it's
So you
gonna
you and
stop.
I were both like, yeah, exactly right. Like we were both going, okay, who gives a shit about the message? Let's talk about the business. And Target and Disney, they're not going away.
No,
So where's the bottom? That's all I care about. And so I had looked at this weekly, and I had looked at this support, and I had figured out that this should be where I was targeting. Um, and so my bid was 69 because that's Mal's bid. We didn't figure that out yet.
cue the GIF.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but it didn't do that. So, but we do have a rejection here on the weekly. But we are clearly trying to bottom. Whether we have yet, I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it stuck its
it
head
is.
back out into that triple pivot, and I'm like,
Yeah, I
we'll
took
see.
profit here. Um, I'm not sure how much more this has got to go. I think this is a long way. So if it backed only here would be better than just going. I don't know. For me, I feel like this the best, like a 4 hour, the best time would be for this EMA to catch up, the price to come back to it, give you that real nice entry that you're confident in that long, and you can just hold it for like a quarter even.
Yeah,
Just let it go.
that pivot is the one I've been watching for very long. That order block, and now that it's hitting a triple, that's one of those ones where it's like they can run into it, but they're going to bounce off of it, and they're going to have to hit it a few times to give it to break.
Yeah, and I stopped like right on it, right? That tells you for sure that that's a sell order.
Cheat mode.
Yeah, and 6 hour, 6 hour. There's a stack of three pivots here, and I drew in a pivot, so it's super important. I think like if price were to come up into this red area and go down, that would also, and then hopefully we fill back in on some of these other pivots right in this area again. Yeah, I like Disney. Good news on their earnings too with the subs. That was actually really surprising. They increased the sub count
Are you
and
serious?
yes, a ton more subs. And what I found was even fascinating was those subs came with um like I think it's India, their star cable stuff or whatever. It's not doing good for them. They want to cut it loose. So it's like a drag. Um, I didn't look exactly into what that drag was, but it had standing. So if they were able to cut that, the numbers would look even better. Um, and so they had new subs and they raised the prices like crap ton. Um, the early adopters, so the ones that bought into Disney Plus um, before it was released, they were given the option to buy Disney Plus for 3 years at a fixed fee, and they prepaid all of it. And I did that. That that sub is like half of what it is now. So if those subs have to, basically, you know, resub into the new model, their profits on all those subs is going to jump. And I don't know how many of those subs were, but they added 7 million this time. If they had like 20 subs, like 20 million subs that were in that pre-order, that's a shit ton more revenue on the next earnings too. So yeah, and their parks are always going up. I liked what Bob said about like he doesn't care about a downturn economy. It doesn't matter. Like we're building through downturns, through upturns. Doesn't matter. Like we've got to constantly, invest in our parks, which is, it's a big part of their revenue stream.
Oh yeah,
So
it's some. I mean, some of those things take like 3 years to build.
yeah,
I think the Harry Potter
yeah,
one was over three.
seriously,
Yeah, I remember seeing it, and I remember the outsides of it. They were like coming soon, and it had like it was like at least 2 years out. I was like, what
hmm.
the hell? Um, that's the other thing I noticed on Netflix. Traditionally, every time Netflix raised their prices, stock tanked, and this time it did not.
Yeah,
It's an
it
inverse
didn't.
relation.
I noticed that too. And they also had um, they had sub growth because of the password crackdown, which was also kind of surprising. I didn't think that they would add that many subs.
Yeah,
But yeah, look, Costco's in this holding pattern.
I think it's an SOS.
I mean,
It's
if the
wedgy, but
market's
that's
if the market's bottomed, then yeah, unfortunately, like
it's an inflation
yeah,
play though. People are not going to go. People are going to go to Costco and Sam's Club.
the hard part is you have like as an investor, and this is something like people are gonna have to grasp. But as an investor, like your meta pay, like you should have bought down here, and you missed that. And there's a chance it doesn't go down. Maybe if it does get rejected here and we come down here, get 25% discount, you probably should buy. I mean, unless our economy is just gonna crumble, I don't. I'm kind of in the. I'm kind of more leaning towards soft landing than hard landing. Like I've talked to you through DMs and stuff. It's like if we're gonna have a big, oh fuck meltdown, we need gas prices at the fill at like $10 a gallon nationwide, not just in California, right? Like we need pain everywhere, and we don't have it. Gas prices are down, so it seems more probable to be a soft landing than not. Um, I'm not sure why gas is falling, other than global demand is down,
Saudi's talking about,
which is
uh,
softening across the board, which makes sense.
yeah, Saudis are playing ball on OPEC right now, or they're talking at least. So
But
there's that to be considered.
if the U.S. economy is, let's just say, decent, and um, we have money flowing into the market, we've also been supported by the Fed too. By the way, what is it? Their balance sheet runoff.
Yeah,
That's been artificially keeping the market from just puking by like going through a full QT. And then I think China was adding money to the economy. Anyway, I
they're
think
coming in deflationary as well.
China?
Their CPI came in negative this week.
No way, really?
Yeah, I think it was 0.2.
Wow. I have yeah, I have some things I could go over, but like I know the stream's going a bit long. Um yeah, let me pull up. Oh, I'd have to reshare it. I don't want to reshare it. But if you pull up the Fed repo balance, you can see that it's been just in purge mode.
Yeah, it's free
Um,
falling.
and so at some point, if the market is sort of rolling over, it's like done, let's say, then they'll have to cut eventually. If like they get signals that that'll stop, the repo balance will stop, and I think that will be, you know, because we have like roughly 2 years before like a lot of things have to get refinanced, um, and that's coming up. So like I think they're incentivized to cut rates before that happens.
What are your thoughts on
Um,
the rate cut? The actual Jerome comes out and says negative 25 or negative 50 BPS. You think S&P goes up or down?
hmm.
That's what everybody asks for. Everybody wants it.
Like in a recession, they had been cutting, telling you that it's a recession. So I think I think it's a sell, like it goes down. Um, I don't know that. I think if everything is already trending up and he cuts after the market has made another all-time high, it won't matter. I mean, unless jobs numbers come in and they're just flooding in like they did in '08, right? Like you're getting hit after hit of, yeah, we lost 300,000 jobs. Yeah, we lost 400,000 jobs. Yeah, we lost 500,000. You see that? Yeah, the market's gonna fucking puke. But if it's like soft, oh, such and such corporation cut some of their, such and such company didn't know how to fucking run it, so they're cut 30% of their staff, people are going to look through it. That stock is going to get hammered down 30%. Meanwhile, Microsoft's still minting money. and so it just fucking moon. I think that's the play. Like you get into, I hate to say it, but like they're magnificent seven for a fucking reason. If they're not in your portfolio, you're doing something wrong. And when they dip, they're good companies. You buy good companies.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small portion, like maybe you're like, oh, I'm like risk, and these don't go up high enough. They don't go far enough, fast enough, whatever that is. We're not talking about trading, and we're not talking about buying stock and just holding it for like a month, 6 months, a year, whatever it is. I'm just saying, like, these are good companies, and if they're minting money, you should probably have a position, and then get risk in whatever else. Like like everyone out there is going to have access to Bitcoin ETF. Read the ETF laws. Some of them I hear, like if you hold them too long, you're going to end up with Bitcoin. So that's kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'm of
I'm
the
kind of, but just one thing. I think Joseph Wayne came out, and I put it on my Twitter. He basically on Real Vision called for a soft landing. And he basically said, hey, look, just look at the market data, and what it's saying is, hey, things aren't that bad. So like it's slowing, but it's holding up well. So you play that until it stops working.
true. I think historically everybody wants to pivot, but the S&P macro bottoms typically happen about 6ish months after the Fed actually pivots. A lot of stuff gets offloaded. Um, I think that'll be the time to tell. But regardless, if the bottom's not in now, I think you're within 100% probability of the bottoming happening at least within 18 months or within 18 months.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
Yeah,
that's
100%.
where they're like, there's really not an opportunity not to be bottomed is 18 months. I think
And
likely we could get it in Q3, Q4 2024.
we also have like, an election cycle coming up, and typically they're not going to let the market tank.
If that flips red, for sure, like market's going to just, we're not getting into politics, but like if it flips to the other side, that typically just shoots stocks. So,
Yeah. Well, one way or another, it seems to be, yeah, market reacts to the changing of the guard, if you will. Um,
that's a
but
good
I
way to
mean,
put it.
in general, I mean, I don't think going into the election year they're going to blow over too hard. But I don't know.
Things are getting spicy though.
I was watching a,
Your Boeing
I was
planes are
watching,
flying and dropping bombs.
I know. I'm not about that noise though. I'm like about what's on the chart, and I try to keep it that way.
I hear
Unless
you, but
it's like,
my mind is like if those F-15s actually take off, it's going to affect Boeing stock, and they did.
yeah, I agree. There's some heat. There's definitely some heat, that's for sure. One thing that was watching I wonder, did I post him on my Twitter? I don't think I did.
Ethereum's about to
Um,
break out again.
there was a guy, yeah, ETH just getting
It's going.
bid, infinite bid.
But it's
Nice.
deflationary now, so
Yeah, but it wasn't deflationary. Deflationary while we were just go straight. Didn't do anything.
it's
And
also
everyone was pissed off because Sol was the only one going up. It was interesting too. Sol tended to rip hard from the
there it
beginning,
goes.
which is interesting.
2137. Take us home, Japan.
So I was going to say is one of the guys I was brought up the fact that to the day usually uh, regional banks / banking bottoms with the S&P, and it's happened every single time, like without fail. Um, and so he's like, because of that, it hasn't bottomed. I thought that was very interesting.
You see
So
the news articles this week where I think it was Yellen. It might have been Yellen, or it might have been no, it might have been Gensler. They were talking about the worries that the banks have offloaded risk synthetically.
yeah,
Those
I heard about that
those news
from
were
some new
hitting the
package.
they were hitting that they were putting that as news lines, and I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but that's an interesting take that they're worried about, like the banks are getting dirty with trying to like not die, because we've been blowing up banks lately. People tend to like think that these banks that went down were small. They weren't. um,
Well, some of them were small.
some were, but we lost. These were some historical times. There's no
Yeah,
ifs, ands, or buts.
you don't typically want to see any bank fail.
No, not if you like fiat. um, the other one we got to check is Ford and GM. I'm out on Ford. I lost that break even stop loss this week, and I'm pretty sure my GM got hit today. Yeah, go Vitalik, go! Don't just look at those well prints. I wish Pixa was back. Shout out Pixa. He'd be screaming about those well prints.
So this is like a commonality that you can also pick up as a way to get in runners. Like if you see the trending EMA cloud providing the support, pullbacks to it, you should just buy and find your stop, wherever it needs to be. Um,
You say that
that's another.
simply. What do you typically do? You go a little bit below the wicks or for a stop?
Um, well, it depends on I do most of my through spot, so I'm not leveraged. So I'm not taking a huge amount of risk if I'm buying because my stop would be as the cloud closed.
What do you mean cloud closed?
It's like it twisted, like this twisted, the twisted red here,
Okay.
right? So that it's trending up. So if I bought it in here, like you're expecting a squeeze, right? So like this came in and it squeezed up. We didn't really get in a momentum, right? Like it didn't have a good fire. That usually the guy that wrote this, he and I posted his YouTube where he was talking about it in depth um, on our Discord. But he basically says I think you get like maybe 6, 7, 8 candles after the squeeze fires, and then you get a rotation, 2 candles out of the rotation, like your top, and then your PPO top killed out. But like we squeezed again, like right away, right into this. See that? So like this would be like an entry, and set your stop like super close by. Like it doesn't even have to be that far. Invalidation's outside the cloud anyway, because like this thing's gonna turn red and it's gonna start dragging everything down. If it doesn't work, you can get back in, and then
When you
just
say
let it
get
go.
red, are you talking about the top cloud or the middle, the blue one?
Yeah, both are gonna go right. Like one's gonna cross through it and drag the other one. Eventually, it'll too.
Okay.
But yeah, like it should be respected. Um, it's like even in here, right? See, it turned red and it respected this cloud. Um, this is
It's
gonna.
kind of watching the blue one flip the green one.
This is probably not what people want to. Secret sauce, secret sauce.
I remember those. You used to show those more.
Um, yeah, it kind of did. It still fell outside my cloud anyway. Um, his and my settings are very very similar. And I had tuned mine um, before I really understood why he picked the numbers he did. So it's super interesting that we both sort of came to the same conclusion. I stumbled where I got Ripster's EMA clouds from, Trendspider.
Shout out to Ann.
Yeah, that's where I got it from. And I got hooked. I was like, holy shit, this I can see how it makes sense, and it was so visual for me. I could see how it played together, and I was like, oh, that's how I should use it. And then when I found them on this platform, TradingView, it was different, and I was like, oh wait, his numbers are different. Well, it turned out like at some point he modified and he tuned them, and then this is his system now, which I like. And so this is kind of like your support middle line, kind of in a Bollinger Band-esque way, is the way I kind of look at it. Yeah, but yeah, that's a way. And usually you're gonna see so in here where it caught, this is called a PPO cross with a zero line bounce, and so yeah, that's bullish too. And so we did that right on a squeeze. So that's like perfect re-entry. Just push
What's a
right there.
squeeze? The red dot or the bend of that band coming back up on
So
the
they
squeeze?
so this is the histogram, and that's like momentum. The squeeze is in the color like orange. I don't even know if there's an orange on this particular one, but orange is the tightest. Red and then black is the least squeezed, and then green is considered like in trend. It's like firing. And another way to think of it too, I guess, a squeeze represents like, well, I mean, it's the Bollinger Band and the Keltner channel's squeezing price, but that's also telling you that price is range bound. As another reason why you should probably either trade a range or just go to cash or whatever, or wait in this case because it didn't cross trend, so it's like you're fine. If you're a scalper in this, like you'd be exiting red, and then you'd buy when it got back in squeezed. Give you your entry. But yeah, now we're back in trend. PPO's up, trends up. They this is a momentum, ADX momentum oscillator, and it's saying weak AF. So I don't know how far it'll go. It'll take a bit to build if it's gonna go.
That's cool.
Usually you want it above this. You can barely see it, but there's a you want the histogram above that. That's got good momentum.
Can you take a look at Ford?
Oh yeah.
Right, need higher time frame.
So I mean, like this is 5 minutes showing like momentums in a it's waning and it's in a divergence, right? So it's making lower lows while the momentum going down, and that's what gave PPO to cross, give you your cross there.
And what are the green dots on the squeezy in?
These ones?
The dots below
Oh,
it.
here on the squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in momentum. There's no squeeze. Like it's there's no trade. Consider that no trade.
So you look for the reds and the orange.
Yeah.
You have to bear with me when it's color coded outside of my pattern. I'm sitting here
It's new
looking at
tools,
it.
right? I mean, like not everyone uses them, and yeah. So interesting. So we had some sort of bounce. That was the one.
That's when I caught.
Yep. And I think I showed you the 4-hour, right? That was
Yeah.
where it stopped.
So this one's scaring me because it's. I thought this was going to be like the spring area because you see all those pivots stacked above. I thought this was going to be like a spring sweep. There's like 4 or 5 pivots that it's been watching for like 2 years, and now it just karate chopped through it. And I thought we were going to get earnings. Yeah, see, there's that order block.
Oh, okay. So here's mine.
Yeah.
My exit. Where did have you been? Did you tried this one here?
So the September one I took a swing at, and I took a break even stop loss, like where you have the I'm sorry, the SFP. I got in probably around September, and
Mm-hmm.
I took a stop loss in October, which is like a break even,
Mm-hmm.
and then I swung again in November and round tripped that to a stop loss. So I've taken two swings at it, just trying to get the Pico bottom, and I haven't gotten it yet. But
Gotcha.
now it's diving and leaving that triple pivot, so I'm getting like a little scared. I was like, I don't know where this goes. This high time
Yeah. So
frame, we're losing.
this was my entry. So
Yeah, I remember you
yeah, we just
cutting. You cut good.
we basically just had this bounce, and it started trending green, and then we had our pullback. We only got a 618 pullback right into the base of that candle. This is like the order block that um, gave the entry, and then the fib pull told me to cut here 1282, and so that's what I did because this is a breaker, and it didn't it was gonna obviously sorry, it's not a breaker, it's a bearish order block, but it's like it was not likely to pass through it in one go, so uh, I took profit there, and then it rolled over, and then this is me showing like now you've got the the trend EMA saying "fuck you,"
Yep.
and off it goes.
Yeah, I remember
And
you were
then now we're
you were checking up on me in the DMs. You're like,
yeah
hey man. I was like, I'm good. I'm gonna take a break even or I caught the
yeah
bottom. I'm not in this one to scalp.
right yeah, and unfortunately they can't turn. It's not. It's been my experience they won't turn like once they do that again. Um, but this is an interesting pattern. So you had like a bounce, and we've made a low. So that's not the low. What's the low?
What did it do aftermarket or post market? Did it go lower?
So interesting pivot here. So this is a giant order block right here. So 8.
It's
This is
huge on log, yeah.
um. So let's see if we can find anything. Somewhere right in there. That'd be the down candle that broke structure. So yeah, and that's the exact pivot. Look at that, trend to trend. So yeah, um, I would expect some resistance here at 9.
It's my thing was this was Wyckoff range. It was potentially accumulation, and I was trying to catch a spring, and it's looking like it's not a spring anymore. So that means it was redistribution, and we got to find a lower
Mm-hmm.
low. I agree
Mm-hmm.
with you. There's an order block there. Otherwise, we're really soul searching. Like you're talking the COVID low of
I mean,
$4
this
is
this is
after that
certainly
one
well, I think like this is certainly a solid low,
for sure.
right?
There's
So we had this
that's a second pivot order block right there.
we had this like major break and then a reclaim and then a huge run, right? So this is like massively this area here, which is why I would look to go above it. Kind of like Disney. Disney didn't give me my freaking entry. Sometimes you just don't get them. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be a decent case for trying to buy it, and that would actually be decent because what did we do? We created a whole bunch of lows,
But that's your target.
ran the lows,
That's your TP 10.
right? We ran all those lows, and then so like your fib hole would be in here, right? And so I would I would guess. Let's turn this off. I want to see the candle colors. say we did something like there to there ish. So, or even if it went into, actually, we don't want it to. We want it to just like barely. If it's, I don't know, we'll have to, hopefully it'll just stay out of the range too long. But we want it to come in and then get the fuck out of it. Um, and then come back up and then come back down.
That's where you really got to
So the
watch split volume for that type of stuff. I have to have split volume up.
Yeah, 100%. Like it will definitely help having it up. Like we had a nuke certainly right there,
Pop, pop, pop.
which is that big thrust. But like I said, I think we created equal lows here, and all we need is a shove, and then we'll get another one.
Yeah, right now they're dealing with the auto unions, but they have a deal tentatively planned, but it's only tentatively. And then the other part is they're struggling with their EV division, so um, they're
Look at
trying to
that. Like
pivot off of the EV thing that they went after.
if this can happen between now and Thanksgiving, this will give you an entry somewhere in here that'll run back to the underside of this,
Of the cloud or the
back
pivot or
back
the
back to
fib.
10. Both.
Yeah.
They'll align. Yeah, they'll be somewhere in here.
Now when you look at that, and that's like a what, a 5%. How much is that? 10%.
Oh yeah. Let me bring that back over.
Do you scale size? Because you don't like use leverage. You're a heavy spot, but
Yeah.
if you're, I guess if your targets are a smaller move, do you go to bigger bags, bigger positions, or do you do that based off the confidence of the risk or the percent accuracy?
Yeah. So I mean, like positioning size is, um, like a percentage of your R&R, and I mean it's in this setup, it's a B setup. So you're catching a bottom. So like this is a C minus B kind of setup, right? Like the cloud's going the wrong direction, but your idea is probably that this should be the bottom. So like your size might be quite small, and then as it came back up, and let's say you're right, and now it's unfortunate, but like this cloud did this, and this one finally went over it and caught back up to it, right? And then so they bounced and started moving away again. Then you might load the farm, right? Like that might be your big position because then
It,
your
it's
clouds are stacked, right? They're
you're
stacked at that point. They're all going in the right direction.
you're this is one of the ones where it's like you're within 6 months of a pico bottom, 10 months, maybe 12
Yeah,
months.
I think so too. I think the auto like that news about the auto union stuff probably will help. If um, wow, it's February next year. That's not
They're the
very good.
best positioned out of the three. Ford is further along with talks than GM
Hmm.
and Chrysler or whatever, Fiat, whatever they're now.
Stellantis.
Stellantis, yeah, they've changed again. You're the Jeep guy.
I don't even understand the name, but okie dokie, it's Stellantis now. Like how do they go from like iconic Jeep brand, and Chrysler's pretty pretty iconic, I suppose, too, as well.
Well, it was
And then
AMC, then Chrysler, then
yeah, but I mean, they had their brands, and they could have unified under the. Well, I guess they are a global company, but man, I don't know. Jeep's such a like. If you say the word Jeep, there's only one vehicle people think of. That is amazing. That's a massive brand, right? That's insane. And the fact that they didn't go, yeah, we're going to use Jeep as the brand, as the Halo name, blows my mind. It's kind of like I get it. I sort of understand why Elon changed Twitter because he's completely redoing the platform. But like that was a brand, and he was like, I'm so confident in my product, I'm fucking destroying that brand.
Yeah,
Like,
I
wow.
was upset with that as well because
Yeah.
it's Twitter, it's tweeting, it's not jeeting or whatever you want. I mean,
Yeah.
Xing.
It's Xing. Yeah. I
So
have no idea what the fuck it is.
no, that's a good point, and I think Ford's close. I've taken 2 swings at it, and I've taken 2 break-even stop losses. So I'm taking L's, but I'm not losing money on it.
Well, I mean, if you
That's where we're different.
if
I'll bite on the turn where I'm running off colors, and then you
also
can catch the continuation a little better.
well, it's because I'm looking for I need a structure.
Yeah,
I need a structure to build. I need PAs first. I need price action to tell me that yeah, there's a good chance something might be happening here, and then I'm looking at all my indicators, maybe get in a more ideal time or whatever. And I mean, I can certainly just use PA to enter, but I struggle sometimes with knowing when exactly to exit unless I've got a fib that align perfectly. Those ones are easy. But yeah, here's the ES. I mean, like we never touched on this, but this is a super like this is. I think we were talking before we got on stream, but like the market is in a really interesting spot here.
I have a theory. I haven't posted about it yet, though. I think it may be a channel, and it may be sweeping down to retest that downtrend line.
Yeah, this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
So if you
pick
draw
your
the
line kind of thing.
if you do a parallel below it, you can catch those
Yeah.
3 bottoms, and it's a channel.
Yeah.
And
You
it's
know,
if it
so
breaks up and then I'm sorry, not parallel, but yeah, you make a clone of that.
so the interesting thing is Bruce says that like what you really want to do is make your 3 connection points and you don't move them ever because like that is the point.
The
If it
trifecta.
starts
Sorry.
yeah if it starts crossing it or whatever that's like you need to pay attention kind of thing. So yeah, I do agree. You know what's interesting is like this thing nails my pivot. Like
It
so
loves
that
pivots.
that Dave Keller here, he called this bottom on stream, and no one gives him any credit, I'm sure, but he actually called this, which is amazing. Um, I had mine a bit higher, and then I had a pivot down here that I thought might hit, and that what happened to be in his zone that was outside of where I thought we were going to go. And sure as shit, hit the pivot inside Dave Keller's zone. Props to him. Like that was amazing. But yeah, now we've got some weird stuff going on. Maybe we're gonna, like I think it's the cues.
So today it was very reactionary to Jerome's speech. I will say that.
Yeah.
And that's something I note is sometimes the market cares what he says, sometimes it doesn't. Today it did. Yeah, that's what I've drew, and I just haven't tweeted it or xed it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Elon, we love you.
Yeah, the cues are
So if I
cues are
was trying to
printing.
snipe a channel walk, that's what it would look like
Like it
a breakout retest.
of your pivots. I mean, it broke out, failed through it. So the hard part is that there's no order structure. So
No,
this is why I don't think it's going to happen. It might, but this is all buy side sell side imbalance. Buy side inefficient, sell side imbalanced. It's just asking to be ran, and there's gaps, and yeah, the market doesn't particularly like gaps. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it try to start selling here. Maybe we get shit tons of buying come in. It's possible. Like market can do stuff, but filling that gap might be all it gets, and then it's done there.
like I said, that's why I haven't posted it. I'm just watching it. I want to see how it prints and see if it starts retesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not there yet. But it's close to where you could start actually speaking about it intelligently.
So we had this beautiful setup right in here where we dropped out, filled the 4-hour fair value gap with a volume imbalance right in here. And once we priced through it, it just was up only.
So for listeners who don't know what you're saying, what is Malley's version of a fair value gap? What does it mean to you? How do you spot it?
Well, it's just like the areas here that aren't getting filled.
You're basically running that off the candle structure of just the wicks, the bodies. You do a lot of cool stuff and people don't always see it, so I'm asking some things I already know, but it'll be good for later video references.
I was gonna see if I could show also,
as you can clearly see.
Though Rick James pointed out that he was noticing that there was some problems with the indicator, and so take that with a grain of salt. But
which one, his?
So there's the ICT Concepts Lux Algo. I'm turning that one on so people can see it print. Let me try to get some of the noise, but if you see like there's a gap in here, that's a fair value gap being printed. Yeah, it just doesn't catch them all. And there's another one.
So do you need a fair value gap to have an actual gap in the price history, or is it just an inefficient area like where it's just got wicks as well?
Well, so this, if you turn on all the hours though, it'll go away.
Yeah.
It can gap. And when it does gap, that's a volume inefficiency because there's no volume in that trading range, right? But yeah, like it can leave fair value gaps behind, and the market can reprice them, and we'll look for orders in that area. Typically, you would mark them at different time frames under different circumstances, and then like the market reacts to them. Like, and this could, I think Doppel was pointing out, I don't know if this is the case, but some of these are from like open close. Yeah. And it's on the way TradingView is doing it. And so that there is data there, but we're not seeing it. So I need a different contract and it would show that. Yeah, the other thing like is you can see how these got filled, right to the tick.
It's like they never leave their friends behind. They'll go back and get them out of a position.
Yeah. And that's where I was kind of explaining like one time on chat was like the algo delivers the price to a certain position because there's like there's work to be done in that area basically. Like ICT's language is kind of helping understand why the market might move in a certain direction. Yeah, the price action afternoon was fucking nuts today. That's a setup signal.
They go to Applebee's.
Followers.
It goes.
That was a delivery. I think I called that out in chat. That's like a lunch hour delivery macro.
It's always like 1 p.m. The market changes. It's
yeah. So like the lunch hour went right 12, and then watch 1 o'clock reprice. You see that?
I do. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Boom. 1 o'clock.
It's
reprice.
Such a sentimental shift.
Yeah. It's nuts.
I blame Dollaritas.
Oops. Blame what?
Dollaritas at Chili's, the $1
Never.
margarita drinks.
What? Never have 'em.
I just joke. I don't like Chili's, but it's just these bankers or traders, whatever. They go out and eat lunch, and then they come in and they do the different algo. At least that's my explanation because
Um,
it's after lunch. It's after lunch, man.
I don't know exactly what the cause is, but yeah, there is a different macro that gets fired. Um, but there's your ICT uh, after lunch hour macro. There's your short entries getting filled and your delivery. Piece of cake. I should trade ES more. It's a lot easier to read, to be honest.
We actually started getting some guys this year who were trading 2 minute candles on S&P or ES, and that was when I did the Mac. That's when I did the major change to the fine tuning of the indicator because they needed settings that I didn't even think were anybody would ever use. And lo and behold, they started killing it on the 2 minute. Pins in
Really?
particular was destroying.
Does he have a particular setup that he uses for, is it for ES?
Mm-hmm. I had
Does
two of
he
them that were
have,
day trading ES setting. It's in the low time frame settings in the Discord.
oh really? I'll have to check
Yeah,
it out.
it's pretty cool because they don't care about macro what's really happening. They just trade
Hmm.
the low time frame structures, and it's all there.
But I assume they're using the main indicator for color rotations.
And RSI and
Okay.
the split volume. Uh, is volume fucked up on ES? I don't remember. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
can't say.
RSI rotations are deadly on low time frames. Hey, watch that and they get familiar.
Yeah.
It works. It's not for me.
The hard,
I can't do 2 minute, but
well, that's why, yeah, for me, it's all,
structure.
it's all structure when I get down super low like this. Yeah. And I know that, Rick James is working on that too.
He's always working.
I think I think he's he's getting a lot better at it. I can tell. Like
I read his
like
blogs or he uses the Discord as like a trading journal.
mm,
Like this is what I found today, and moving forward doing this. It's cool. I enjoy it.
hmm. I do too. He's a good dude.
He's been around a long time too.
Yeah. We were very active back on Crypto Jack's Discord back in the day.
Was he Rick James there too? Because I know he was
I think
Santa
so.
for a while.
Yeah, this is all that was all shift structure when I was I the this is when I was trading this this here, and then we had the distribution before we ran the lows again.
Are those your notes? The break and the displacement.
Hmm.
How do you draw diagonal text on arrows?
You just it's just the text
Okay,
on
I
it,
never
and
use it.
it'll be an alignment. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. The entry wasn't a 4 hour though. This is like old stuff, so it was actually like much smaller time frame.
Hey, Pantaga's here. He's OG. What's up, dude?
Pants. What's up?
So if we get the generational bottom on Ford, we go long, we leverage it. When are you ordering the 392 Jeep?
Ha. Do an options trade on Ford. Yeah, or just a big enough position. I don't. I'd be a big fucking position though.
Yeah, they're
That'd
not
be really.
cheap.
That'd be really big. Oh my god.
Coworker just got one. It's sounds like a Hellcat starting up outside. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
nasty.
they're pretty sweet.
Yeah. Is it functional? Is it purpose built? No, but it's fun for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, like I was telling you, like so I for the listeners, I have a 4xe. Same thing. It's the plug-in electric version, and it's still what I would consider. It's slower than any of the sports cars I've owned, but it's fast, and for a Jeep, it's kind of too fast. Like Jeeps are not exactly handlers, and so like you just make sure it's straight when you floor it, basically.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and I got Falcon shocks on it that are adjustable, and you know those um like city street speed humps. You familiar with those?
Yes.
So I had my daughter in the Jeep. We're coming back from school, and we have one of those. We actually have a whole bunch of them. And I was like, how fast do you think we could hit this? And she started freaking out because it was like we were at like 40 miles an hour, and dude, it just like flipped over it like you didn't even feel it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's pretty amazing.
Don't tell
Jeeps are
mom.
awesome. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Forgot to ask you some of the other stuff in the beginning.
Yeah.
How did you start charting,
Um,
or
what do you
who
mean
did you?
how?
I I I I, I vividly remember Carpe Noctem being who got me in on it.
Hmm.
Right, like I saw Carpe Noctem charts, and I just started watching videos after videos after videos until the Ichimoku language started translating to me, and then
Yep.
his whale talks and stuff like that. So shout out Josh again. But I'm curious, what's your history of like how you got this deep? Because you're deep into this, whether you think it or not.
Um, so so personally, I like to analyze things, and I like the technical aspects of charting. How I started though was just to like not have my 401k get fucking nuked, basically. Like like seriously, like if so think luckily I was, like here, let me pull this chart up. Like I don't know how many people were trading or investing or whatever, but like I said, I started accumulating in here. And so when we approached the high here, my gut reaction was like, not that we're going to all new highs. I don't know why, but that's what it was. And so there was news out, and what I told you about this particular one was I distinctly remembered there being like gas crises. There was tanker trucks going across El Paso and shit like this. Like it was nuts. And um, food prices were getting like they were dropping in price. Like I'm like this is not a healthy economy. And so like I was out. I was fully out. And and so been that's been the whole reason. Like I was out here actually in December. Like when I started catching news of that freaking new plague that was gonna potentially wipe us all out, I was like, yeah, the market's not gonna like that, and I'll just be cool for a little bit. I'm okay with like losing 5 or 10%. That's okay, like on the upside. Um, and so like I was just back in the day was just moving averages and just general over exuberance, things like that. Like I would pay attention to like sentiment, like everyone is frothy, all that kind of stuff. And um, yeah, it started out of just wanting to protect it. Now, when I decided to like actually um, trade was back when, like I said, in when I had got a chance in crypto. That was probably when I was like really trading. I was trading stocks before then. Crypto's when I actually was like I had to. The volatility was so violent that like the discipline had to be better, um, which I'm still working on. Like I think every trader goes through this. Like no matter how good, like even if you watch that video I posted on our Discord, he talks about it. John Carter.
Mm-hmm.
He's like yeah, he still deals with it. So I think like that's a thing that we all have to get through or whatever. But like yeah, I think that was it. And then I just gone down the rabbit hole on different things. Like um I didn't particularly like I got on. So the funny thing is like I started charting on um TrendSpider more than TradingView and I liked it better. But then eventually it was like it was so fucking slow. Like I was so irritated by how slow it was to like move and refresh. And so like eventually I moved over to TradingView. And so I've been here the whole time. Your tools are here. And then yeah, I've just been here. Um, and then I just added things, right? Like I looked for people that were doing it right. The first person that I saw that was doing it right was like that had sort of the mentality of like I'm gonna sit in a position when it makes sense was Dave DeWave, and the way he laid out his thoughts and reasonings for entering a position or when to buy really is more what he does. Um, I was like, okay, I get this, and then I started adding other people to it. Um, Josh was like one of the first two as well. Um, he had his he had his Ichi Cloud, and I thought, holy shit, I don't know anything about this, but it clearly is doing like it has like it's definitely valid. Like we have to be paying attention to this. Um, and and then I started under like I I would say like moving averages and fibs were always my thing, and I loved fibs. I thought there's 100% something happening here with the fib. I just need to make it work. And then I started seeing the patterns, and everything started chiving. Um, and then I've just added tools in that complement it. That's why I have like PPO instead of like I like PPO instead of MACD. It's very similar though. Of course, I have RSI. I just added the squeeze because now I understand why it's important. I couldn't actually. I knew when things were squeezing, but I was trying to time it with other tools that weren't doing it right, and squeeze actually works um, pretty well. So I'm super stoked with that. And I use ADX for momentum. Um, you can see that John thinks that this is a good, and I'm not going to tell John he's wrong because he's right and I'm wrong. But like TTM, he thinks that this momentum is done. Well, but this is a huge uptrend, and so I'm like, I want this trend. So that's where my EMA clouds come in, and that's where ADX comes in. And some of his other videos, he does talk about ADX, um, and he's definitely a huge believer in EMAs too as well.
That's cool. I remember getting struck by Josh specifically because it was I'm really good at picking up if someone's lying to me. So
Hmm.
like, there's people that talk charts and stuff, and they're just like, okay, he's full of it. Josh was just genuine as can be and very consistent, and I was like, okay, he's talking real stuff. What are these whales he's talking about? What on earth is a Tenkin and a Kijin? Um,
Right.
I was like, I don't even know how to spell these things. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start watching and listening to his YouTubes every day, driving in and back to work until it quits sounding like a foreign language, and then stuff started clicking, and then that's what really drove me into, okay, I need better tools. And then it's like these tools don't exist. I need to start learning how to code my own stuff to find these whales, and that's how all this turned out to be.
And I think that's a huge part of um like, I hate to say it, it's true though, but like you have to spend the time
You do.
here.
There's nothing easy.
Um yeah.
No, I mean,
There's
I
e- all of our fam in Rainbow Trends, but if there's any other listeners that stumble on, like, you have to have the discipline to do it all the time, to call your shit when it's shit, and to have, unfortunately, a lot of discipline. Like, it's not a Cowboys game. Like, this is like this is the real deal. Like, you have to have rules and structure to win.
you will take scars. Like you will get
Yeah.
scarred. Like you will not come out to the other side without scars. Because I've that's what I always, because people will hit me up and they're like, "Hey, I'm talking to this quant guy or blah 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 blah," and I was like, "Well, the first thing is if they don't tell you about blowing up bags of money they cut their teeth on with a bot, and they just say that they've walked on water their entire career, like it's clearly a scam. You want to
Yeah.
find that dude who's been burned before to protect your money if you're going to trust him. Um,
Yeah. The hardest part is losing a shit ton of money.
yeah, I'm very numb to it, and that's why I really preach spot.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I do spot too as well.
yeah, dust accounts and
I,
small stuff I'll mess with the leverage, but it's the main stuff for me is spot. And
when I still to this day make, like, maybe I'm too hard on myself. My P&L is obviously going to the right, but I feel like I make too many mistakes, and when I make less of them, then um I'll start considering options and leverage and stuff more. I've done it before. Like, I took, um pre-COVID, I took Tesla up for over 1,000%. Um, and I won on Ford too. Bought the Ford bottom when it went, from like 11 to 20 on options, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" So yeah, I think I can do it, but I don't. Um, and I've never nuked myself on option. Been super lucky in that way, but
that's the thing, though.
I'm scared
Once you
because, like,
get, well, there's a lot of guys. It's the option. They start out on options until they get a big enough bag that they can run on spot, and then they just say spot, right? It's like Kobe
yeah,
says, leverage is for poor people, and it's true.
yeah, I disagree. I think if you have the right mindset and you are super skilled and you have all the discipline and you have all the things, right? You know your setup. And let's say your setup hits 75%, then yeah, dude, like, consider options.
I hear you, but think about the market that has all those things. A lot of people don't, and
Exactly.
and
And that's the thing.
they destroy their life savings real quick.
Which like, I've been doing this for, gosh, like 4 years now. 4 years pretty solid, I would say. And I feel like I'm still a noob.
Yeah, you always keep finding out new stuff. People are doing what?
Yeah. That's when I stumbled in. So, go back to your other question. The one that has been, honestly, the most influential, has been Maine, uh, by a long shot. Um, he and I don't even know each other very. Like, we've chatted in a few DMs or whatever, but um, yeah, he forced me to see price because, um, like, I knew of ICT, but Maine's the one that taught me ICT, and then I learned ICT through ICT's videos and got all the content. But it was, But yeah, Maine was the one that kicked me in the ass just by his presence. Like he crushes it,
Yeah,
absolutely crushes it.
I appreciate how he does the multi time frame. He zoom
Yeah.
out, and zoom all the way back in. A lot of people don't do that. I have a bad habit of not doing that. I just want to sit H4 and I feel like comfortable, but you'll miss stuff on the daily candles.
Um. Yeah. I think multi time frame is definitely super important because you got to know, you have to have a bias in which direction you think you're going to go, and it's okay to like counter trade that, like I'm trying to do in jets, like I tried to do in Boeing, and like I did in Carvana and Meta, right? It's totally okay to do that. Uh, I'll tell you from experience, it becomes easier the more times you do it. It's it's a challenge to keep them on, keep winning trades on that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're up. Because like if you win 20-30%, what do? You take profit, right? But what if your trade's up 100%? Do you exit? What if it was going 200-300%? It was still in a trend. That's what Meta did, right? Like it just kept going. I mean, it did go up and pause for a long time, but then it just ripped.
Yeah.
And those are the hard ones, right? Like Carvana was a lot easier because it just ripped, and for me, it never left trend. It just kept going.
One thing
For
that
Meta, it paused.
one thing I'll do for that if I don't have it in me mentally to manage it, I'll take
Mhm.
the fib tool in TradingView and turn it into a martingale tool, and I'll draw the range of what I think could possibly happen if it is going to run like crazy, and it'll lay out the TPs spread out over like 10 positions. And then I have an Excel calculator that will tell me the exact amounts. Hey, put zero point 0.2 Bitcoin at this price. The next level will be 0.17 Bitcoin at this price. That way, the entries and the exits all end up at the same dollar value.
Yeah.
And that way, I could just sit there and sometimes the trend will go up, knock out 4 of the 10, and then come back and I can hit my stop loss. I got to be.
Interesting.
It takes the emotions out of it.
Hmm.
Is it perfect? No, but it's what a lot of the big dudes do. Because they'll martingale catch that way. When the pain's hitting, they'll have layered bids all the way down to zero. Like they will eat your flash crash.
Right. For reals. I mean, like catching, like if you plan to catch that, you weren't around. Like you had a limit.
Yeah, I need to get a trading light again. I can show those martingales what it looks like when bots are doing it. It's a very distinct look, but they're always sitting there with the limits ready to slam it.
Yeah. I mean,
What?
that's the way it is. I think that's why I believe, price has delivery. Um, yeah.
All right, man. I think we're gonna have to. This is a good point to stop at. I appreciate you coming on. This has been eye opening.
Yeah, of course.
This is good stuff. I'm gonna have to. I will archive this on YouTube, and I'll probably get it uploaded to the website too. This way we can like, hey, here's another rainbow trader outside of Runner, and this is what he does, and you can see how he combines the stuff because Mally does a very unique thing, and I don't know anybody who uses this setup, but um, really good stuff, and appreciate it, and appreciate for you being in the Rainbow Crew as long as you have.
Of course, man.
Anyway, we'll let you guys go. Shout out to all the million people we've referenced, and thanks for the guys who are sitting here and watched us for 3 hours, 3.5 hours now.
For hours.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a Joe Rogan length one. YouTube's gonna hate
You're
me.
welcome.
So anyway, I will.
All the fam that connected and sent the questions, I really appreciate it. Um, and we do have an awesome Discord.
Oh yeah,
If you're level headed, you got some skills, please come by. Um, like like Runner said early in the stream, if you missed it or you didn't, um, we appreciate the the trading styles that aren't ours, and we love to learn. So um, yeah, keep an open mind. Come to our Discord and participate. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Even if you don't know anything, come ask us questions because I'll sometimes get a crazy question that I've never thought of, and someone will be like shy to ask me, and I'm like, no, this is okay. I'm rolling out an update to this tool now because now I see what you're looking for. But anyway, yeah, check us out on the Discord, links in the bios and all that. Pantoga, thank you for dropping it, and we will catch you guys next week. Um, I think we're overdue for some Doppel action too. To be honest with you, we need him on stream, and maybe you two at the same time
Yeah, I've hit him up. I think having all of us on here would be awesome.
for sure.
We could knock it around. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, and then we can see where this goes. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Thanks again.